Advice 1. Attitude determines everything. Two scholars were on their way to take an exam when they encountered a funeral procession. Seeing the dark coffin, one of the scholars immediately felt uneasy, thinking that encountering a coffin on the way to an exam was an ominous sign. Upon entering the examination hall, the image of the dark coffin continued to haunt the scholar's mind, and the outcome was predictable. The other scholar, however, also felt shocked upon seeing the coffin but quickly changed his perspective. He thought, a coffin represents official wealth. It contains both official and wealth. What a good omen. With this positive mindset, he entered the examination hall, and his thoughts flowed freely. He ultimately excelled in the exam. Wow, that coffin was so auspicious! Both scholars exclaimed when they returned home. This story illustrates the power of attitude, which influences our perception of events. The stock market and attitude. The stock market is a psychological battleground, constantly fluctuating. It presents both risks and allure. Maintaining a healthy and calm mindset is essential for individual investors, especially as small retail investors. The success of legendary investor Warren Buffett lies in his attitude toward stocks. He views himself as a business owner, invests in undervalued stocks at the right time, and holds them with a long-term commitment, a mindset that embodies the principle of not being swayed by external circumstances. Buffett's advice to retail investors is clear: cultivate the right investment attitude. Study and reflect on this wisdom, and you'll be pleasantly surprised. Section 1. Overnight wealth is unrealistic. Expecting a stock to soar overnight is foolish. Many people enter the stock market with dreams of rapid gains, doubling or tripling their investment within weeks. They treat the stock market like a casino, hoping for instant riches. Unfortunately, this mindset often leads to irrational behavior, excessive risk-taking, and even financial ruin. While there are rare instances of quick gains, especially during market bubbles, most retail investors cannot achieve overnight wealth. Warren Buffett's success as the Oracle of Omaha is rooted in his long-term approach. He holds stocks for years, focusing on value and ignoring short-term fluctuations. Buffett once said, "Short-term market predictions are poison." He avoids technical analysis and market rumors, remaining patient and tracking undervalued stocks. His Berkshire Hathaway empire was built on this philosophy, creating numerous investment legends. Don't fantasize about overnight riches, it will only lead to disappointment. Instead, adopt Buffett's rationality and patience. Remember, time is an artist that gradually smooths out excessive profit-seeking tendencies. Stay grounded, and prioritize long-term stability over quick gains. Section 2. Virtuous investing. Buffett's view of money is akin to a game's scorecard. He and his late wife decided decades ago to accumulate wealth throughout their lives, with the intention of giving back to society. Dante once said, "Morality often fills the gaps in knowledge, while knowledge can never fill the gaps in morality." Cultivating a virtuous mindset opens doors. In the stock market, where speculation and cunning prevail, maintaining a virtuous attitude is crucial. When others panic or become greedy, your kindness and consideration for others will set you apart. Remember the ancient merchant rule: when it's dry, invest in boats; when it's rainy, invest in carts. Be prepared for opportunities during crises. Buffett's philanthropic legacy, including the largest individual charitable donation in U.S. history, exemplifies virtuous investing. These examples, spanning centuries, emphasize the importance of a kind heart. Cherish it, it's our greatest wealth. Like clear water, a virtuous heart remains untainted. As retail investors, let's prioritize our mindset, embracing kindness and leaving a positive impact. Section 3. Patience leads to opportunities. Buffett's success hinges on patience. He remains steadfast, even during market fluctuations. His famous quote, "To be a good hitter, you need good balls to hit," emphasizes waiting for the right investment opportunities. If no good opportunities arise, he'd rather hold cash. In the dot-com era, when everyone chased internet stocks, Buffett stood alone. The burst of the internet bubble restored his reputation as a stock market legend. Buffett's simple methods buying undervalued stocks and holding them reveal a fundamental truth. Stock prices may deviate from intrinsic value in the short term, but over time, they converge. Regardless of market changes, the coordinates of enterprise value remain stable. Remember, patience is essential. Whether influenced by market trends, investment targets, or changing policies, the intrinsic value of stocks remains constant. Stocks belong not only to the market but also to the companies they represent. The value of enterprises and the importance of patience in investing. The value of enterprises primarily manifests in their profitability and growth potential. Profitability is indicated by sustained growth in core business revenue, while growth potential mainly refers to the continuous improvement of the core business profit margin. Therefore, the correlation between market volatility and enterprise value is not always clear, and market fluctuations do not necessarily alter the intrinsic value of a company. In other words, investors who focus on the core value of enterprises can mitigate the impact of short-term market fluctuations. However, in reality, many investors, especially retail investors, tend to panic when they see their stock prices stagnate or decline. They hastily sell all their holdings, abandoning carefully selected companies. As a result, they end up with nothing and have to start over from scratch. Additionally, impatient investors often react emotionally to price fluctuations. They become anxious, focusing on short-term stock price movements, capital flows, popularity shifts, and various technical indicators. This emotional roller coaster leads to self-doubt and confusion, causing them to question their judgment. This phenomenon, known as the price syndrome, is characterized by tension, mental confusion, and distorted perceptions, ultimately resulting in poor decision-making. Furthermore, due to a lack of expertise, many retail investors exhibit impatience. They believe they've discovered a hidden gem and fail to analyze the stock's context thoroughly. Without understanding the stock's trend, they prematurely calculate potential returns, imagining their money piling up like a small mountain. In this state of mind, they forget about risk and remain unguarded. Their sole focus becomes the anticipated windfall, ignoring potential dangers. Such behavior inevitably leads to failure. Therefore, even when encountering excellent opportunities, it's essential to be adequately prepared. Rushing into action without due diligence can lead to disastrous consequences. Investors must maintain a clear-headed approach, analyze the market thoroughly, and act only when the odds are overwhelmingly in their favor. The ultimate goal is long-term success, not fleeting victories. Patience is crucial. When you feel you can't endure any longer, consider enduring a little more. Every retail investor should prepare for unexpected short-term effects. For instance, during the 1997 Asian financial crisis, many investors suffered varying degrees of losses in securities investments. However, those who believed in their judgment and persisted eventually rebounded in 1998, achieving an average annual return of 15% over 5 years. While a company's operational success may not always align with its stock performance in the short term, the long-term correlation remains strong. This inconsistency is the key to profitability. Patience, combined with successful companies, ultimately yields substantial rewards. For retail investors, cultivating patience is challenging but necessary. Confidence, willpower, and unwavering effort contribute to this discipline. While we may not need to be smarter than others, we must possess more self-discipline. As Warren Buffett wisely stated, successful investing is not about intelligence, it's about discipline. His ability to maintain a joyful investment mindset, even during challenging times, sets him apart. Buffett treats investment as both work and pleasure, emphasizing rationality over emotional reactions. His simple yet effective investment principles form the foundation of his success and contentment. In the face of adversity, we must recognize achievements, seek light amid difficulties, and maintain unwavering faith. Confidence generates enthusiasm and pursuit, igniting courage and potential. Just as wet wood cannot ignite, a discouraged person cannot kindle passion. In daily work, maintaining a positive attitude can alleviate suffering and transform hardship into joy. Stock market experiences can be both exhilarating and distressing, offering overnight wealth or sudden loss. Retail investors are familiar with these emotional fluctuations, feeling restless and fatigued. For those who have faced setbacks, happiness seems like a luxury. Conversely, those who have enjoyed substantial returns often experience anxiety and apprehension. To truly succeed as stock investors, we must perceive joy and maintain inner peace throughout the process. The essence of Warren Buffett's success lies not only in his investment strategies but also in his joyful mindset. Many investors diligently study and master Buffett's stock selection techniques, yet few successfully replicate his investment psychology and mindset. The ability to maintain happiness while achieving returns is the true challenge. Buffett's investment journey spans over 40 years, during which his exceptional self-discipline allowed him to navigate market uncertainties. He avoided the technology bubble of the 1960s, the pitfalls of biotech concepts and junk bonds in the 1980s, and the dot-com bubble at the turn of the century. Developing Buffett-like self-discipline is not easy for retail investors, but it's achievable through practice. A strong psychological foundation is essential for success. Emotionally, we must shield ourselves from stock market fluctuations and personal gains and losses. We should control our emotions, remaining unaffected by external events. Additionally, maintaining independent thinking is crucial. While creativity and reverse thinking are valuable, we should avoid. In terms of trading rhythm, it's unnecessary to be overly frequent. The stock market operates with its unique seasonal cycles and tempos. Retail investors should learn to establish their own investment pace, avoiding excessive buying and selling. Otherwise, they merely convert their profits into transaction fees paid to brokers. When selecting stocks, avoid blind reliance on recommendations from others. Conduct thorough analysis and due diligence independently. Be especially cautious regarding stocks rumored to yield massive profits but carry exceptionally high risks. Maintain a clear mindset and safeguard your capital. Additionally, when setting personal goals, avoid aiming too high in terms of profit targets. Overly ambitious goals can create psychological pressure, affecting self-discipline. Scientific investment objectives help maintain a positive attitude and proactive approach. Learn from Warren Buffett by keeping your investment behavior within your own capabilities. While many people tend to follow the crowd, believing that truth lies with the majority, stock market investing requires a different mindset. Avoid herd mentality. Don't buy at market peaks or sell at lows. Otherwise, you'll either receive minimal gains or share losses with the crowd. Remember that successful investing often depends more on discipline than intelligence. Warren Buffett emphasizes self-control as a critical factor in achieving investment success. Maintaining a balanced approach and resisting impulsive actions are essential for long-term profitability. Of course, cultivating self-discipline in the ever-fluctuating stock market is undoubtedly challenging. We need to accumulate knowledge, engage in critical thinking, and stay informed about national policies, regional market conditions, and our own positioning. These factors contribute to a clearer understanding of the stock market, forming the foundation for self-discipline. Those who ultimately succeed often stand tall, see far, and possess a global perspective. One significant trait they share is self-discipline, an attribute beyond the reach of most individuals. In the sixth section, we explore the equation, greed加 fear 等于 loss. When others are greedy, we should be cautious. When others are fearful, we should seize opportunities. Investing in stocks reflects our inherent flaws, fear and greed, both of which can be magnified infinitely. Fear and greed are part of human nature, driving relentless pursuit of profits. When the stocks we own start declining, fear creeps in. This is especially true for retail investors who seek quick gains and fear missing out. Such emotions can distort decision-making and lead to costly mistakes. Warren Buffett, in a 1999 Fortune magazine article, discussed various factors influencing investors during bull markets, warning that true investors worry less about missing out and more about taking unprepared actions. Buffett believes that conquering the common mindset of greed and fear is essential in the stock market. Many find it difficult because greed and fear are innate. Retail investors often experience these emotions: euphoria when stock prices soar and extreme frustration and fear during declines. When prices fall, some retail investors panic and sell, even if prices stabilize. They hesitate to buy until prices surge again, but by then, the risk is higher. Alternatively, excessive greed prevents timely selling, resulting in unstable returns or even losses. During market crashes, human weaknesses are exposed, reinforcing the equation, greed加 fear 等于 loss. The market comprises numerous investors, including many retail participants whose emotions often overpower rationality. Fear and greed cause stock prices to fluctuate around their intrinsic value. Buffett repeatedly advises, be fearful when others are greedy, and greedy when others are fearful. For many, money is never enough, and greed becomes the nemesis of successful and rational investing. Consider the case of Shao Chun, who entered the market during a bull run, doubling his savings within 3 months. Feeling invincible, he hesitated to sell, hoping for more gains. However, the tide turned, and consecutive market crashes caused his funds to shrink rapidly. Fear set in, and he finally cut losses when his capital was only 70% of the initial amount. Greed had prevented timely selling, resulting in losses. Shao Chun lamented that contentment would have served him better. Both greed and fear hinder rational judgment in stock investing. Fear leads to hasty selling during price declines, while fear of missing out prevents timely buying. We must overcome these emotions. Even in bear markets, opportunities exist. Stock prices fluctuate, and each decline is followed by a rebound. Fear of losing wealth can distort our assessment of the situation. Instead of waiting passively, take action to turn losses into gains. Remember, time is an artful master, smoothing out extreme profit-seeking tendencies and restoring life's balance. So, when our hearts are filled with greed and fear, maintaining a long-term perspective and patience becomes challenging. Retail investors must emulate Buffett, be fearful when others are greedy and greedy when others are fearful. Avoid the illusion of overnight wealth. It may cost you the privilege of being an ordinary person. Time, the master artist, will restore equilibrium and help you find balance in life. Advice 2, know thyself. Know thy enemy. 100 battles, 100 victories. In Sun Tzu's The Art of War, it is stated, if you know the enemy and know yourself, you need not fear the result of 100 battles. If you know yourself but not the enemy, for every victory gained you will also suffer a defeat. If you know neither the enemy nor yourself, you will succumb in every battle. This ancient wisdom applies not only to military conflicts but also resonates across various domains of life, especially in today's economic landscape. The stock market is perpetually a realm of risk and opportunity, devoid of invincible generals. Whether you're a novice or a seasoned investor, risk is an ever-present factor. Retail investors often lack substantial capital and access to comprehensive information. However, everyone enters the market with the goal of making money rather than supporting market development. Therefore, strengthening your own capabilities and understanding both sides yourself and the market is paramount. If you lack absolute certainty, it's better to refrain from investing altogether. Warren Buffett never engages in uncertain investments. He is exceptionally conservative and prudent, achieving long-term market success through deliberate decisions rather than luck. Without a clear conclusion, he refrains from investing, preferring patience. Buffett ensures that the stocks he buys are familiar and manageable. He assesses their growth prospects and profit potential. If he lacks 100% confidence, he abstains from action. Like a stealthy jungle leopard, he observes his prey keenly. Only when he confirms that the investment aligns with his goals and meets his requirements does he strike decisively. How can one attain the level of know thyself, know thy enemy? Different investors emphasize various aspects of stock market participation. In summary, 3 key elements are analysis, intuition, and luck. Analysis. The foundation of stock market investment lies in thorough analysis. Study and judge overall market trends, individual stocks, and their trajectories. This includes macro analysis of international and domestic political and economic situations, as well as micro analysis of specific stocks' fundamentals and technical aspects. Only with comprehensive analysis can you develop strategies and maintain confidence, patience, and determination, essential qualities built upon a solid analytical foundation. Intuition and luck. While analysis is fundamental, stock market movements involve probabilistic events. No one can fully control them. Correct analysis is essential, but the actual trajectory is subject to market validation. Markets are not entirely rational, leading to occasional discrepancies. However, luck should not be blindly revered. It is not superstition. In conclusion, our preparation and readiness determine our ability to face challenges. The better we understand ourselves and the market, the more effectively we can leverage our strengths and address our weaknesses. Even Warren Buffett avoids uncertain battles. How much more should we? Before entering the stock market, ask yourself, have I truly understood both myself and the situation? This understanding is crucial for achieving significant victories in the market. Section 1. A comprehensive understanding of stocks as the foundation. Many people invest blindly, which is akin to playing cards all night without ever clearly seeing the hand they hold. If you don't know what an annual report is or are unaware of the content discussed during a company's shareholders meeting, it's best not to immerse yourself in the stock market. Ignoring essential information that stock investors worldwide should be aware of can be risky unless, of course, you're investing solely to rescue brokerage firms. If you're uncertain about the specific differences between stock options and regular stocks, the wisest approach is to refrain from buying options until you fully understand them. Unless you possess unwavering willpower or view money as insignificant, it's better to proceed with caution. Relying solely on stock commentary from television pundits for your investment judgments? Take a moment to reflect on this approach and seriously consider the reliability of such information. The ancient Chinese philosopher's adage, "Plan before taking action," resonates with Warren Buffett's investment philosophy. Once he decides to invest, Buffett typically holds for the long term. His confidence stems from thorough analysis, spending months, years, or even longer evaluating the rationality of an investment. He meticulously reviews financial statements and relevant data related to the companies he considers. For complex businesses that remain difficult to understand, Buffett steers clear. Only after comprehensively grasping all details does he make an investment decision. This underscores the critical factor for success: detailed and meticulous analysis before investing. In contrast, many retail investors rely on hearsay and gut feelings, lacking independent analysis and a reliable basis for profitability. Buffett believes that successful stock market investing requires understanding the rules of the game. It's akin to entering a battle without certainty. Therefore, before diving into the stock market, ask yourself, do you genuinely understand the game's rules? Stocks represent a primary form of valuable securities issued by corporations to investors. They serve as evidence of shareholders' rights and investment stakes in the company, entitling them to dividend income. Stockholders, including retail investors, legally own a portion of the company and have certain rights and responsibilities related to its management. Simultaneously, they bear the risks associated with the company's operations. To profit in the stock market, start by familiarizing yourself with stock market terminology. Section 2. It is important for people to know themselves. In the stock market, it's often the case that people driving luxury cars seek investment advice from those taking the bus. Even if someone has been quite successful, their methods may not necessarily suit you. In life and work, we all have self-awareness, knowing that there are things others can handle well, but we cannot. However, when it comes to stock selection, many people like to say, if others can pick stocks, so can I. The truth is, there are plenty of stocks that others can choose, but you might not be able to. The same applies to investing. Methods that make others money may not be suitable for you, and the stocks others choose may not be the right fit for your portfolio. Self-awareness is crucial. Don't blindly imitate what others can do without considering your own abilities. We've all heard the saying that monkeys like to imitate others, but often, it leads them into trouble. Imagine a monkey sitting in a tree, observing fishermen casting nets to catch fish in the river. When the fishermen put away their nets to have lunch, the monkey climbs down from the tree, eager to mimic their fishing technique. However, as soon as it tries to cast the net, it gets tangled up and nearly drowns. Escaping the net, the little monkey reflects, well, I deserved that. I hadn't learned how to cast a net, yet I wanted to catch fish. Retail investors often make the same mistake as the little monkey. Without a rational understanding of their own abilities and judgment, they act impulsively, often with results far from their ideal outcomes. While stocks may all look the same, each person is unique. To succeed in investing, you must first understand yourself and exercise self-awareness. Remember, angels can fly because they don't take themselves too seriously, and masters make money because they recognize their own limitations. When entering the stock market, assess your risk tolerance and desired investment return. What will you do if the market doesn't follow your expected trajectory? It's essential to plan ahead and write down strategies for different scenarios. Don't let market fluctuations cloud your judgment. Especially for retail investors, who often forget their initial thoughts when buying stocks. If your stop-loss point is 10%, meaning you bought at $15, set the stop-loss at $13.50. Don't hesitate. Similarly, if your original plan was to buy at $10 with a target return of 50%, sell decisively when the stock reaches $15. There's no one-size-fits-all method in stock investing. The key is to find an approach that aligns with your risk tolerance and stick to it. As experience grows, everyone modifies their methods. It's like a spiral. You've completed a circle, seemingly back where you started, but you're not the same as before. Methods can change, adapting with accumulated experience. The critical point is to have a guiding approach at all times and follow it consistently. One common mistake among retail investors is a lack of planning. They see a stock with a low price and buy it, or someone recommends a stock, but then they're unsure how to track it. When should they cut losses? When should they take profits? These questions often go unanswered. If you find yourself in this situation, create a solid plan. Remember that the tuition for the stock market university can be quite expensive. Warren Buffett advises us that to be highly successful in investing, we need a good character. Some people are overly sensitive. Their stock performance shows on their faces. When a stock rises sharply, they want to jump in and make a quick profit. Unfortunately, they often buy at the peak. Conversely, when a stock drops significantly, fear drives them to sell, only to miss out on the subsequent rebound. Buffett has repeatedly warned investors, if you can't stomach significant stock declines and hold your position when the market value drops by 50%, then perhaps stock investing isn't for you. Many Wall Street experts have stumbled in similar ways, facing market consequences. Overconfidence can lead to poor decisions. While these experts may be correct in the end, the market may have already moved against them. Avoid arrogance. Focus on market information, and be quick to admit mistakes. That's the path to longevity in the stock market. So, in the stock market, recognizing our weaknesses allows us to maximize our strengths. Retail investors, especially, should practice self-awareness, do what you can, and refrain from what you cannot. Section 3. Never enter unfamiliar industries. You should consider investing in businesses that even fools can manage, because eventually, these businesses will fall into the hands of fools. Every successful person has a domain they know extremely well. When they step outside this domain to explore new areas, their past habits often become a burden. We watch NBA games and are amazed by Kobe Bryant's seamless basketball skills. Similarly, we admire Roger Federer's graceful tennis techniques. However, if we were to ask Federer to play NBA basketball or Kobe to play tennis, it would likely be a surprising sight. As professional athletes, their ingrained habits in tennis or basketball would hinder them when switching to badminton or basketball. The same principle applies to stock market investments. In China, there's an old saying, "Don't do business in unfamiliar territory." In stock market terms, this means avoiding participation in companies you don't understand. Successful investors, like Warren Buffett, recognize that it's not about how much they know. It's about understanding the extent of what they don't know. Their success lies in identifying their own domain and staying within it. The more successful they are, the more specialized they become. Similarly, successful investors focus on a small subset of investment targets, staying within their defined range of expertise. By doing so, they gain a competitive advantage over the overall market. If they venture beyond their expertise, they risk losing that edge and compromising their ability to assess investment opportunities accurately. For individual investors, analyzing stocks or funds can be complex and demanding. Many retail investors impulsively pour their savings into a single stock without thoroughly researching the company's performance. When planning a trip, people meticulously study destinations, prepare, choose cost-effective transportation, and arrange local activities. However, when it comes to buying stocks, few invest the same effort in researching company performance. Without investigation and research, it's better to avoid the stock market altogether and consider leaving fund management to professionals. If your investment goal is not just for fun but to earn money, support your family, buy a house, or achieve financial independence, you must dedicate significant time and effort to accumulate knowledge, skills, and expertise. Even Warren Buffett adheres to the principle of avoiding what he doesn't understand. He steers clear of high-tech stocks and focuses on traditional industries where he can predict future trends. In 1998, he admitted he wasn't an expert in internet stocks, but after the dot-com bubble burst, he recognized the emergence of the new economy and its promising sectors. Buffett's investment portfolio in 2003 exemplified this approach. He had long held shares in Coca-Cola, a company he knew inside out. For other companies, he closely monitored them for years before making a move. Buffett's philosophy revolves around finding businesses whose future performance can be reasonably predicted over the next 10, 15, or 20 years. He adheres to the Buffett circle of competence principle, avoiding investments outside his grasp. But can ordinary investors predict the future development of new energy or technology just by observing trends? Buffett invests in businesses whose operating methods remain consistent over time. According to Fortune magazine's Global 500 list from 1990 to 2000, only 25 companies met the dual criteria of a continuous average return on equity exceeding 20% and no year falling below 15%. These superstar companies are also stock market stars. Their ability to achieve sustained profit growth over a decade demonstrates their competitive advantage. It's reasonable to believe they can further enhance their growth potential in the future. Buffett once said, "I like businesses that are so good that an idiot can run them because sooner or later, one will." Companies like the Washington Post and Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer fall into this category. Coca-Cola and Gillette are also long-term investments for Buffett, representing companies with enduring competitive capabilities. In reality, many stories prove that uninformed retail investors suffer the most significant losses during market frenzies. They often invest just as the good times are about to end, becoming the last group to buy before the bubble bursts and the stock market collapses. Therefore, Understanding the simple yet profound principle of never invest in what you don't understand is crucial for retail investors. Section 4. Firmly avoid riding the fast elevator. I won't abandon my familiar investment strategy. Although this method may not yield massive profits in the stock market, I refuse to venture into unfamiliar investment approaches that lack validation and may carry significant risks. Perhaps many retail investors have encountered a situation where their most trusted friend recommends a stock, claiming insider information that it will surge by over 50% next month. What would you do? Maybe you're cautious and skeptical because you know nothing about the company. Initially, you might hesitate. But after a week, the stock has already risen by 20%, and your friend boasts about their substantial gains. Can you still remain calm? Suppose you decide to investigate further, but even after a week of research, you're still unclear about the company's business. Meanwhile, the stock climbs another 20%. Your friend, along with their friends, excitedly discusses their profits. What would you do? If your friend insists the stock will continue to rise, how will you react? Many people find it challenging to resist temptation at such moments and deviate from their initial convictions. In the stock market, blindly following others is a pitfall. When faced with a company you don't understand, yet its stock price keeps soaring, it's best to keep your distance, even though it's not easy. Warren Buffett advocates for rational investing. Throughout his life, he has stuck to the same principles. For instance, he spent 52 years holding Coca-Cola stock, meticulously analyzing and gaining confidence before making significant investments. He once wrote to his partners, "I won't abandon my familiar investment strategy." Although this method may not yield massive profits in the stock market, I refuse to venture into unfamiliar investment approaches that lack validation and may carry significant risks. In other words, even if the immediate gains are small, Buffett avoids using methods he doesn't fully understand. Similarly, he refrains from investing in companies he doesn't comprehend, even if their stock prices surge and everyone around him celebrates. This approach has kept him steady in the volatile stock market. Retail investors often lack a clear investment philosophy, making them impulsive and prone to decisions that contradict their own judgment. During market frenzies, people tend to chase trends, follow the crowd, and panic when things go wrong. They may even underestimate their knowledge and expertise. While stocks rise and markets turn bullish, some believe stock trading is easier than other businesses, just a few clicks on a computer or a phone call away. But relying solely on hearsay often leads to poor outcomes, and many end up losing their hard-earned savings. Buffett's investment philosophy is grounded in understanding. He acknowledges what he doesn't know. Only when he genuinely comprehends a company does he take action. But how much understanding is enough? Buffett's approach involves imagining himself as the inheritor of a company, the sole family asset. He contemplates how he would manage the company, considers various factors, worries about potential risks, identifies competitors, and understands the company's strengths and weaknesses compared to others. Through this, we realize that Buffett's remarkable stock market success isn't accidental. While it's challenging for retail investors to achieve the same depth of understanding, the key to weathering stock market storms lies in firmly avoiding the fast elevator one whose principles remain unclear. When it descends, the speed is equally rapid. Section 5. Plan first. Before making investments, it's essential to create a well-thought-out plan. Many retail investors have experienced the roller coaster ride of stock market fluctuations, rapid surges, steep declines, and then surges again. The stock market's unpredictability can be as challenging as a thrilling roller coaster ride. Take the case of little Juan, who lost almost everything in the stock market a few years ago. He vowed never to invest in stocks again. However, when faced with a rare bull market, he succumbed to the temptation of stock tips from friends and invested the money he had saved for buying a house. Initially, he made some gains and felt confident in his decision. But as the market became increasingly volatile, Wang's nerves frayed. Eventually, he was left with only half a house and suffered from nervous exhaustion. Wang is not alone. Many retail investors live with the fear of losing and constantly feel on edge. Even their regular work gets affected due to this mindset. Meanwhile, look at Warren Buffett, the stock market guru. He lives a tranquil life in a small town, making calm and calculated investments. In contrast, we chase market highs and lows, exhausting ourselves in the process. The truth is, we shouldn't focus solely on market prices. We must also pay attention to managing our capital effectively. Buffett considers investment planning a critical business secret, a concentrated display of core competence. The difference in performance ultimately rests on the quality of investment plans. Buffett often says, the essential condition for making money in the stock market is having a special money-making temperament. It's not necessary to possess extraordinary intelligence to achieve investment success. He cites two examples to illustrate this point. The first example is Sir Isaac Newton, the brilliant scientist who discovered universal gravitation. Initially successful in the stock market, Newton couldn't resist the temptation to re-enter and eventually suffered a significant loss. He famously said, "I can calculate the movement of celestial bodies, but not the madness of men." Even the brilliant Newton stumbled in the stock market, proving that intelligence alone isn't a guarantee of profits. The second example involves two Wall Street-recognized investment geniuses on the board of the U.S. Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. Despite their reputation, they incurred losses of over $6 billion in speculative derivatives trading last year. Buffett's conclusion is that making money in the stock market requires a special temperament. This temperament, in reality, refers to a well-thought-out investment plan. While Buffett openly discusses his investment philosophy and sometimes his strategies, he never reveals his specific investment plan. This underscores the importance of having a solid plan. We can summarize Buffett's investment approach into 3 steps: scouting, waiting, and striking. He thoroughly compares companies of interest, tracks them long-term, waits for favorable prices, and then seizes opportunities when the time is right. His method has become a classic in the stock market, emulated by many retail investors. Of course, an investment plan must be based on a comprehensive understanding of stocks. As we mentioned earlier, knowing oneself and knowing the stocks are crucial. Understanding the intrinsic value of stocks and applying accurate analysis methods are essential. Although predicting market changes with absolute precision is impossible, we can still grasp the overall trend. Buffett advises investors to always keep some cash on hand and avoid putting all your money into the stock market. Once funds are invested, their liquidity becomes restricted. You can't easily withdraw them for other purposes unless you're willing to accept losses. Opportunities in the stock market are fleeting, and if you've committed all your funds, you might miss out. Determine your investment amount based on your financial capacity, tailor your plan, and proceed with confidence. Never exceed your limits. For retail investors, simplicity is key. Avoid spreading your funds too thin across various stock types. Diversification doesn't always reduce risk. Sometimes, it complicates matters and increases risk. Imagine an untrained person attempting to juggle eggs like a professional juggler. The outcome is predictable: all the eggs will break. But if they start with just one egg, the situation improves significantly. True risk diversification involves not putting all your investable funds into the market at once. Divide your capital into 3 portions: the vanguard for initial investment, the stronghold for stability, and the reserve for additional funds. After analyzing price trends, invest the first portion wisely, avoiding greed. When the market confirms your predictions, add the second portion and set profit targets. Be decisive and exit when you reach your goals. The third portion remains flexible. Use it strategically during favorable market conditions and protect it during downturns. Remember, there are no shortcuts to wealth, especially in the stock market. Many people blindly jump into stocks without serious analysis or research. They spend more time choosing household appliances than studying the market. Such an approach rarely leads to consistent profits. Occasional gains are often due to luck and don't last long. Invest wisely. We chase market highs and lows, exhausting ourselves in the process. The truth is, we shouldn't focus solely on market prices. We must also pay attention to managing our capital effectively. Buffett considers investment planning a critical business secret, a concentrated display of core competence. The difference in performance ultimately rests on the quality of investment plans. Buffett often says, the essential condition for making money in the stock market is having a special money-making temperament. It's not necessary to possess extraordinary intelligence to achieve investment success. He cites two examples to illustrate this point. The first example is Sir Isaac Newton, the brilliant scientist who discovered universal gravitation. Initially successful in the stock market, Newton couldn't resist the temptation to re-enter and eventually suffered a significant loss. He famously said, "I can calculate the movement of celestial bodies, but not the madness of man." Even the brilliant Newton stumbled in the stock market, proving that intelligence alone isn't a guarantee of profits. The second example involves two Wall Street recognized investment geniuses on the board of the U.S. Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. Despite their reputation, they incurred losses of over $6 billion in speculative derivatives trading last year. Buffett's conclusion is that making money in the stock market requires a special temperament. This temperament, in reality, refers to a well-thought-out investment plan. While Buffett openly discusses his investment philosophy and sometimes his strategies, he never reveals his specific investment plan. This underscores the importance of having a solid plan. We can summarize Buffett's investment approach into 3 steps: scouting, waiting, and striking. He thoroughly compares companies of interest, tracks them long-term, waits for favorable prices, and then seizes opportunities when the time is right. His method has become a classic in the stock market, emulated by many retail investors. Of course, an investment plan must be based on a comprehensive understanding of stocks. As we mentioned earlier, knowing oneself and knowing the stocks are crucial. Understanding the intrinsic value of stocks and applying accurate analysis methods are essential. Although predicting market changes with absolute precision is impossible, we can still grasp the overall trend. Buffett advises investors to always keep some cash on hand and avoid putting all your money into the stock market. Once funds are invested, their liquidity becomes restricted. You can't easily withdraw them for other purposes unless you're willing to accept losses. Opportunities in the stock market are fleeting, and if you've committed all your funds, you might miss out. Determine your investment amount based on your financial capacity, tailor your plan, and proceed with confidence. Never exceed your limits. For retail investors, simplicity is key. Avoid spreading your funds too thin across various stock types. Diversification doesn't always reduce risk. Sometimes, it complicates matters and increases risk. Imagine an untrained person attempting to juggle eggs like a professional juggler. The outcome is predictable: all the eggs will break. But if they start with just one egg, the situation improves significantly. True risk diversification involves not putting all your investable funds into the market at once. Divide your capital into 3 portions: the vanguard for initial investment, the stronghold for stability, and the reserve for additional funds. After analyzing price trends, invest the first portion wisely, avoiding greed. When the market confirms your predictions, add the second portion and set profit targets. Be decisive and exit when you reach your goals. The third portion remains flexible: use it strategically during favorable market conditions and protect it during downturns. Remember, there are no shortcuts to wealth, especially in the stock market. Many people blindly jump into stocks without serious analysis or research. They spend more time choosing household appliances than studying the market. Such an approach rarely leads to consistent profits. Occasional gains are often due to luck and don't last long. Invest wisely. We chase market highs and lows, exhausting ourselves in the process. The truth is, we shouldn't focus solely on market prices. We must also pay attention to managing our capital effectively. Buffett considers investment planning a critical business secret, a concentrated display of core competence. The difference in performance ultimately rests on the quality of investment plans. Buffett often says, the essential condition for making money in the stock market is having a special money-making temperament. It's not necessary to possess extraordinary intelligence to achieve investment success. He cites two examples to illustrate this point. The first example is Sir Isaac Newton, the brilliant scientist who discovered universal gravitation. Initially successful in the stock market, Newton couldn't resist the temptation to re-enter and eventually suffered a significant loss. He famously said, "I can calculate the movement of celestial bodies, but not the madness of men." Even the brilliant Newton stumbled in the stock market, proving that intelligence alone isn't a guarantee of profits. The second example involves two Wall Street recognized investment geniuses on the board of the U.S. Federal Home Loan Mortgage Corporation. Despite their reputation, they incurred losses of over $6 billion in speculative derivatives trading last year. Buffett's conclusion is that making money in the stock market requires a special temperament. This temperament, in reality, refers to a well-thought-out investment plan. While Buffett openly discusses his investment philosophy and sometimes his strategies, he never reveals his specific investment plan. This underscores the importance of having a solid plan. We can summarize Buffett's investment approach into 3 steps: scouting, waiting, and striking. He thoroughly compares companies of interest, tracks them long-term, waits for favorable prices, and then seizes opportunities when the time is right. His method has become a classic in the stock market, emulated by many retail investors. Of course, an investment plan must be based on a comprehensive understanding of stocks. As we mentioned earlier, knowing oneself and knowing the stocks are crucial. Understanding the intrinsic value of stocks and applying accurate analysis methods are essential. Although predicting market changes with absolute precision is impossible, we can still grasp the overall trend. Buffett advises investors to always keep some cash on hand and avoid putting all your money into the stock market. Once funds are invested, their liquidity becomes restricted. You can't easily withdraw them for other purposes unless you're willing to accept losses. Opportunities in the stock market are fleeting, and if you've committed all your funds, you might miss out. Determine your investment amount based on your financial capacity, tailor your plan, and proceed with confidence. Never exceed your limits. For retail investors, simplicity is key. Avoid spreading your funds too thin across various stock types. Diversification doesn't always reduce risk. Sometimes, it complicates matters and increases risk. Imagine an untrained person attempting to juggle eggs like a professional juggler. The outcome is predictable: all the eggs will break. But if they start with just one egg, the situation improves significantly. True risk diversification involves not putting all your investable funds into the market at once. Divide your capital into 3 portions: the vanguard for initial investment, the stronghold for stability, and the reserve for additional funds. After analyzing price trends, invest the first portion wisely, avoiding greed. When the market confirms your predictions, add the second portion and set profit targets. Be decisive and exit when you reach your goals. The third portion remains flexible. Use it strategically during favorable market conditions and protect it during downturns. Remember, there are no shortcuts to wealth, especially in the stock market. Many people blindly jump into stocks without serious analysis or research. They spend more time choosing household appliances than studying the market. Such an approach rarely leads to consistent profits. Occasional gains are often due to luck and don't last long. Invest wisely. Advice 4: associate with winners. Warren Buffett, the world's most successful investment guru and an idol for all investors, also has his own idol. His inspiration comes from a baseball bat boy named Eddie Bennett. What does a bat boy do? Essentially, they perform various tasks for players, carrying bats, delivering towels, serving drinks, and assisting with odds and ends. It was from this bat boy named Eddie that Buffett learned the secret to stock selection. Eddie, this seemingly insignificant bat boy, was far from ordinary. In 1919, at just 19 years old, he started as a bat boy for the Chicago White Sox, a team that made it to the World Series that year. The following year, Eddie switched to the Brooklyn Dodgers, who also won the league championship. However, our hero sensed trouble brewing. Amidst the jubilant celebrations, Eddie swiftly moved to the New York Yankees, where they clinched their first-ever World Series championship in 1921. Eddie seemed to foresee what was coming and decided to settle with the Yankees. As a result, he spent 7 years with the Yankees, during which they won the American League Championship 5 times. You might wonder, what does this bat boy story have to do with investing? It's simple. Warren Buffett learned a crucial investment lesson from Eddie's experiences. Success is straightforward when you associate with winners. In 1927, when the Yankees reached the World Series quarterfinals, Eddie received a $700 bonus. This amount was roughly equivalent to what other bat boys earned in an entire year, yet Eddie pocketed it after only 4 days because the Yankees swept their opponents in 4 consecutive victories. Eddie knew one thing clearly: it's not about how you carry the bat, it's about who you carry it for. Being the bat boy for the superstar players on the field was the key to earning big money. Stock selection is the first step towards successful investing. As Buffett wisely puts it, associate with winners, and you'll naturally become one. Making money in the stock market isn't difficult, but losing money is even easier. As the saying goes, birds of a feather flock together. To be a winner, surround yourself with winners. To excel in the stock market, associate with superstar stocks. Conversely, stock market losers inevitably align with underperforming stocks. Clearly, stock selection is the key to profitable investing. If you want your investment performance to stand out, your stock choices must stand out too. Remember, success in the stock market doesn't hinge on market fluctuations. It depends on individual stock selection. The truth is, during a bull market, not all stock picks lead to profits, and during a bear market, not all stocks result in losses. Stay sharp, seize opportunities, and choose the right stocks. Whether it's a bull or bear market, stock selection matters most. Section E. Follow your instincts. Your own intuition is your initial feeling about the stocks and companies you are about to invest in. This feeling is based on a thorough understanding of the enterprise. Although Warren Buffett is often hailed as the Oracle of Omaha and has amassed considerable wealth like many Wall Street financiers, he stands apart from the investment world. His temperament and lifestyle differ significantly from the typical financial elite. Rather than residing in New York's bustling financial hub, he prefers the quiet seclusion of his hometown, Omaha. His office lacks a team of professional researchers and computers. Instead, it contains stacks of annual reports, newspapers, and a telephone. Buffett's investment approach may seem mundane to us. He reads copious amounts of company annual reports and then identifies what he considers bargains, much like selecting clothes while shopping. The difference is that he even employs online purchases and then places orders through brokers via phone. Buffett's life remains remarkably simple and unassuming, whether in his youth or old age, whether penniless or fabulously wealthy. He maintains consistent habits and preferences. No matter the occasion, he sticks to his favorite drink, Coca-Cola, and enjoys popcorn and hamburgers. Despite his widespread fame, he retains an unwavering childlike curiosity. This investment prodigy, who has consistently outperformed the stock market for decades, lives a lifestyle and work ethic that diverge from the norm. A modern-day recluse. His strength derives entirely from his inner self. Simplicity is his power. But what exactly guides Buffett's investment strategy? When asked this question, his answer may not be entirely convincing. He relies entirely on his intuition. He fearlessly invests in any stock that feels profitable, regardless of market trends. Remarkably, he doesn't study stock market movements. Many shareholders in Buffett's investment company have criticized his seemingly blind decisions, which often defy market trends. However, these decisions consistently prove correct. Buffett believes that a person's intuition is usually highly accurate, especially in stock investing. He asserts that his intuition, his initial feeling about stocks and companies, is built upon a thorough understanding of the business. However, this feeling can easily be influenced by so-called market trends, particularly for investors unfamiliar with stock investing. Such interference can alter initially correct investment decisions, leading to unintended outcomes. Almost all investment decisions stem from intuition, so we should have confidence in our own instincts. Of course, relying solely on intuition is insufficient. Alongside intuition, Buffett's unwavering commitment to his judgments contributes significantly to his success. He often buys stocks that others dismiss, even when they contradict prevailing opinions. These stocks typically experience substantial growth over time, repeatedly validating his correctness. In the early 1970s and late 1980s, during a frenzied stock market, Buffett instinctively retreated. His intuition told him that he couldn't comprehend the market, lacking the usual sparks of inspiration. He also didn't understand people's behavior. He boldly shorted his stocks. History proved him right once again when the stock market crash soon followed. While others lost confidence, Buffett courageously re-entered the market. He began buying heavily, like an elephant charging in when everyone else hesitated. His remarkable ability to defy the market required immense strength. Buffett's secret is unreplicable. On one hand, he possesses exceptional talent. On the other, he remains profoundly simple. Simplicity is power. But this simplicity isn't universally attainable. Many believe Buffett has an almost intuitive genius, which indeed constitutes his greatest strength. Why does Buffett consider intuition superior for investors? Let's not imagine his intuition as fleeting inspiration. In reality, his intuition is grounded in extensive research and understanding of the companies he invests in. Buffett claims that once he thoroughly studies a company and finds its operations satisfactory, he pays little attention to market trends. His intuition guides him to invest in stocks he deems worthy. For ordinary retail investors, don't underestimate your intuition. It's based on your understanding of stocks and subtly influences your investment behavior. It tells you what to do and what to avoid, accumulated through long-term experience. However, be cautious. Intuition is a double-edged sword. Used well, it can save mental resources. Used poorly, it can lead to cognitive biases. Retail investors should have confidence in their intuition but not rely on it exclusively. Like Buffett, build intuition upon research and understanding to achieve a comprehensive investment approach. Section 2. Choosing the right industry leads to success. I am drawn to industries that require minimal management yet yield substantial profits. These are the types of industries I want to invest in. In a free market economy, many people seek the path to success. However, finding a practical approach can be challenging. A successful individual once said, "To achieve success, you must fully leverage your strengths." Indeed, in a fiercely competitive environment, understanding your own strengths and utilizing them effectively is crucial. Confusing your strengths with weaknesses will hinder your chances of success. Many retail investors wonder how to excel in the stock market. Why is Warren Buffett considered the Oracle of Omaha? How did he amass such immense wealth, rivaling even Microsoft's Bill Gates? Beyond his inherent intelligence, much of Buffett's success lies in choosing the right industry. To achieve success, 3 critical factors come into play: entering the right field, doing the right things, and associating with the right people. Among these, entering the right industry is the crucial first step. Action must have a clear direction for success. When investing in stocks, selecting the appropriate industry is essential, Otherwise, profiting from a sunset industry becomes challenging. Setting the right direction is the initial step after defining a specific goal. With the correct trajectory, we usually encounter smooth sailing. Even if we face setbacks, they won't significantly impact the overall outcome, ultimately leading to satisfactory results. Without the right path, we may drift away from success, unable to escape the clutches of failure. Therefore, having a clear forward direction allows us to take that solid first step towards success. For retail investors, monopolistic companies hold significant investment value, especially consumer monopolies. Buffett consistently favors consumer monopolies. His investments span various industries, including coal, electricity, dining, and media. These companies provide him with stable profit margins, emphasizing the importance of industry selection. Buffett believes that correctly predicting the future performance of an observed industry is crucial when choosing an industry. Evaluating an industry involves considering two aspects: its historical development and its future prospects. Understanding the historical trajectory of an industry enables better predictions of its future and helps grasp its potential trends. To assess an industry's growth, compare its historical growth rate with the national economic growth rate. Industry growth can be measured using indicators such as output value, while national economic growth often relies on GDP growth. By comparing the two, we can gauge the industry's development. If the industry's growth rate surpasses the national rate, it indicates strong future prospects. Conversely, if it lags behind, the industry may be in decline. For accurate data, regression analysis can help build predictive models based on historical data. However, such purely quantitative models cannot guarantee future industry development. Buffett's industry analysis doesn't rely on complex mathematical calculations. Instead, he relies on his intuition about the economy. While no model can perfectly predict any industry's future, analyzing Buffett's investment portfolio and industry characteristics reveals promising sectors. Firstly, Buffett favors consumer monopolies, which thrive in the United States due to the driving force of consumption. Generally, any industry with monopolistic or oligopolistic companies has superior growth potential. Consider the companies he invests in: Coca-Cola, the world's largest beverage company; Gillette, holding 60% of the global razor market; American Express, providing essential travel tools like Amex cards and traveler's checks; Wells Fargo, dominating California's commercial real estate market and ranking among the top 10 U.S. banks; Fannie Mae, one of the two major residential mortgage lenders in the U.S., Disney, the largest media and entertainment company globally after acquiring Metromedia and ABC; McDonald's, the leading fast food chain; and the Washington Post, one of the most respected U.S. newspapers. These companies, whether directly consumer-oriented or not, operate as monopolies or oligopolies within their industries. Additionally, Buffett shows interest in the energy sector. As the global economy steadily grows, energy demand will increase, making energy companies attractive to investors. Looking at Buffett's investment composition, resource monopolies in areas like roads, bridges, coal, and electricity play a significant role. These unique industry advantages ensure stable profitability. Buffett's investments consistently outperform industry peers and even exceed the average performance of societal enterprises. This success stems from his preference for owning 100% equity in well-managed, financially sound companies with promising futures. As retail investors, our first step should be entering the right industry to avoid starting at a disadvantage. Remember, choosing the right industry is crucial for success. Section 3. Investing in the best star enterprises. Finding superstar companies is our only chance for success. There's an inherent difference between gold and stones. Gold always shines, while stones never do. Selecting a unique stone from a pile of ordinary ones is undoubtedly more challenging than finding a piece of gold. Similarly, when choosing stocks in the stock market, we must focus on the gold, the star enterprises. If you invest in stocks of mundane, ordinary companies, don't expect exceptional performance in terms of business results or stock prices. Only those superstar companies have the potential to create extraordinary business performance and become stock market stars. Once we take that first step and choose the right stocks from excellent companies, being associated with superstar stocks simplifies matters because these companies guarantee performance and stock price stability. How can we recognize these superstar stocks? In 1992, Warren Buffett reiterated his investment strategy from 15 years earlier in the Berkshire Hathaway annual report. Our stock investment strategy remains largely unchanged from what we discussed in our 1977 annual report. We select marketable securities and evaluate companies for whole acquisitions using a similar approach. We look for companies that are understandable to us, have long-term positive growth prospects, are run by honest and upright individuals, and can be purchased at very attractive prices. For individual investors, the first criterion is that the company should be straightforward and easy to understand. Only by fully understanding a company can investors make informed decisions. Buffett has a deep understanding of the companies he invests in, staying within his circle of competence. He avoids companies outside this circle, no matter how promising their potential may be. Next, the company's historical operating performance must be stable. Buffett believes that only businesses that have consistently provided the same goods and services over the long term yield high returns. Lastly, the company's long-term prospects must be favorable. This especially applies to companies with licensing rights. Licensing rights refer to companies whose products and services have stable consumer demand without close substitutes. Such companies can continue to raise prices and generate profits, even in situations of oversupply or underutilized potential. These companies often have economic moats and can withstand the impact of inflation, economic downturns, or poor management. In summary, an outstanding company should possess the following characteristics. First-class business, the business with excellent growth prospects and significant competitive advantages. First-class management, company leaders with both integrity and talent. First-class financial performance, demonstrating strong profitability. Companies meeting these three first-class criteria are the superstars in Buffett's eyes. He aims to buy companies that can sustain their competitive advantages for 10 or 20 years or more. Buffett once said, "Fast-changing industries may offer overnight profits, but they lack the stability we desire." As investors, our attitude toward trendy industries is akin to space exploration. We applaud the courage of those who venture there, but will stay on the sidelines. Companies like Coca-Cola and Gillette fall into the category of eternal holdings. In its 1995 annual report, Coca-Cola declared, "If all our company were destroyed, we could immediately rebuild the entire company based on our brand strength." While analysts may have varying predictions for these companies' performance in the beverage or razor markets over the next 1 or 2 decades, their continued efforts in manufacturing, distribution, packaging, and product innovation reinforce their magical ability to attract continuous customer purchases. They will continue to lead their respective fields, and their advantages may even strengthen further. Over the past decade, both companies have maintained their substantial market share and expanded it significantly. All signs indicate that they will continue this trend in the years ahead. While they may not match the explosive growth of some high-tech or startup industries, these eternal holdings offer stability. A bird in hand is worth 2 in the bush. After selecting these superstar companies based on the criteria, we must withstand the test of time. Only when a company's value appreciates in the future can your profit potential continue to grow. Buffett advises, never discard outstanding companies under any circumstances. Once you've identified an outstanding company, patience is essential. Unless there's a fundamental change in the company's value, don't abandon these exceptional businesses. Becoming an excellent company requires contributions from every aspect of the organization. Everyone within the company must treat its future as their own, laying the foundation for invincibility. To invest in a company, one must comprehensively assess its strength, possess a discerning eye for opportunities, and observe its details over the long term. Remember to avoid the allure of superficial prosperity from companies that may be elaborate traps. Only those enterprises that stay true to their core values, diligently work for shareholders, and consistently seek profits are worthy investment targets. Just as a little-known company can grow into an outstanding one, it takes considerable time and effort to carefully choose, analyze, and study your investment targets. There's no reward without effort, and blind investments without foresight and courage are perilous. The key is to seize the right opportunity and focus on value investing. Warren Buffett, like a discerning collector during tumultuous wartime, doesn't flaunt wealth by collecting famous paintings, mansions, antiques, yachts, or other extravagant luxuries. In fact, his life is remarkably simple. However, he has spent a significant portion of his life specifically collecting companies with business potential for investment. Ultimately, these outstanding enterprises have made him a shining star in the stock market. Warren Buffett's approach to investing in exceptional companies serves as a valuable lesson for all investors. His dedication to understanding businesses, focusing on long-term prospects, and avoiding short-term temptations has contributed to his remarkable success. Remember, investing wisely requires patience, diligence, and a discerning eye for true value. Section 4. Seeking companies with excellent managers. Our investment strategy remains focused on a select few stocks, and the concept is straightforward. Truly great investments can often be summarized in a simple phrase. We seek companies with sustained competitive advantages, managed by a team of capable individuals who wholeheartedly serve shareholders. When we find companies with these characteristics and can purchase their stock at a reasonable price, the chances of going wrong are minimal. Buffett once said, "Can you explain the taste of walking on land to a fish? The real experience of living on land for a day surpasses explaining it in words." Similarly, managing a business firsthand is equally revealing. Being a discerning investor is not about blind imitation or focusing solely on specific aspects. Instead, it involves gaining a macro-level understanding of a company. Buffett, with his keen eye, annually selects outstanding companies. Over the years, he has distilled his wisdom into what's known as Buffett's business tenets. According to him, assessing a company's overall situation involves not only understanding its stable operating history, but also evaluating the quality of its management. Buffett pays close attention to whether a company has excellent managers. To minimize stock price volatility and ensure investment preservation and growth, he favors companies with prudent management, integrity, and high dividend returns. Conversely, he avoids enterprises that exploit shareholders through stock splits, capital increases, and other means. The top management team is the core force behind a company's operations, and only a team with high-quality, collaborative spirit can guarantee the company's development. If management is subpar, attitudes are inconsistent, or internal conflicts arise, long-term observation is necessary to wait for adjustments that lead to a more cohesive and stable management structure. Additionally, it's crucial that top executives consistently prioritize shareholder interests to safeguard their rights. Exceptional managers often determine a company's fate. Therefore, assessing whether a company has outstanding management is a critical factor in our selection process. Generally, excellent business managers exhibit three key traits. Rationality. 星号 managers who can think independently and resist blind conformity are competitive. Buffett admires those who allocate surplus cash to maximize shareholder wealth, whether through growth projects or returning profits when no suitable investment opportunities exist. Rational decision-making and independence are essential. Integrity. 星号 honesty matters for both managers and shareholders. Buffett believes that only those who transparently disclose performance, discuss failures openly, and prioritize long-term interests are trustworthy. In a market where many annual reports exaggerate success, candid communication benefits everyone. 3. Avoidance of institutional rules. Xinhao rules and regulations can weaken rationality. Experienced managers may make sound decisions, but institutional constraints sometimes distort their choices. Buffett emphasizes individuality. Managers who consistently think independently are less influenced by external factors. For retail investors, comprehensively understanding a company can be challenging. However, by learning from Buffett's experiences and focusing on key factors, we can identify promising investments. If you discover companies with managers possessing these traits, consider investing. While it doesn't guarantee huge profits, it minimizes risks associated with poor management. Section 5. Value investing reigns supreme. Look for remarkable companies, not just stocks. Retail investors often fixate on stock prices in the market. Seeing a sea of green brings joy, while red induces pessimism. However, this perspective is flawed. Warren Buffett adheres to value investing, the idea that a company's value determines its stock price. When investing, we're not merely buying stocks, we're investing in a company's value, essentially purchasing its future. Buffett has repeatedly advised investors, seek remarkable companies, not just stocks. Buffett's countless examples validate the correctness of his value investing philosophy. But what does value investing mean? In simple terms, it involves comparing a company's intrinsic value to its market price. We primarily focus on a company's intrinsic value, seeking enterprises undervalued relative to their true worth. Intrinsic value is a critical concept. It's the sole means of assessing a company's relative attractiveness for investment. Buffett states, today, the value of any stock, bond, or company depends on the expected cash inflows and outflows over the entire remaining life of the asset, discounted at an appropriate interest rate. However, this definition alone doesn't precisely quantify a company's intrinsic value. It involves three elements: annual cash flow, discount rate, and time horizon. The concept of remaining life's cash generation is vague and largely unquantifiable, relying on future expectations, an immeasurable aspect. Warren Buffett, the renowned investor, firmly adheres to the concept of value investing and frequently emphasizes the importance of a company's intrinsic value. However, he has never explicitly revealed how to precisely calculate a company's intrinsic value. For Buffett, all the necessary data and numbers reside in his own mind. If an investment requires complex calculations, he believes it has lost its investment value. Due to the inherent uncertainty of intrinsic value, Buffett refrains from disclosing his specific calculation methods. In fact, he has acknowledged that even his approach may not be foolproof. In his annual reports, he once revealed that if two knowledgeable investors evaluated Berkshire Hathaway's intrinsic value, the difference in their assessments would likely be less than 10%. This highlights the challenge of accurately calculating a company's intrinsic value. So, how does Buffett estimate intrinsic value effectively? The key lies in thoroughly understanding the company. To address the challenge of assessing unquantifiable intrinsic value, Buffett introduced the concept of a margin of safety. This means that an investment target should not only be valuable but also undervalued relative to its intrinsic value, which remains somewhat vague. Companies significantly discounted compared to their intrinsic value become attractive investment opportunities. The margin of safety allows room for error in estimating intrinsic value, enhancing investment safety. Buffett advises, you can't make a great deal with a bad person. He suggests giving yourself a 20% margin of error when estimating a simple value. By calculating expected compound annual returns based on estimated future values, Buffett evaluates whether an investment is worthwhile. For instance, if he buys a stock in XYZ company for $10 and expects its price to reach $50 in 10 years, the annual compound return would be approximately 17.56%. He then compares this return with other investment indicators to make informed decisions. How does one find value-oriented companies? Different approaches yield varying conclusions, but two principles remain constant: static and dynamic investment value. Static value refers to comparing a company's market value to its net assets at a given time. Dynamic value, on the other hand, is more complex. The stock market's allure lies in its dynamism, making it challenging to predict and track. However, with a macro perspective and patient long-term holding of quality stocks, substantial investment growth is possible. In the fog of uncertainty, clarity reveals the true blue sky. Only when we understand the essence of value and navigate through layers of complexity can we truly call ourselves investors. Advice 5: Value assessment, the root of the tree. Everyone believes they are rational and can get the best value for their money. However, in reality, human rationality has its limits. When making decisions, people often rely on easily accessible clues rather than calculating the true value of an item. Consider two cups, both holding 1,000 milliliters of water, one in an 1,100 milliliter cup and the other in a 1,200 milliliter cup. Without precise measurements, most people perceive the 1,100 milliliter cup as having more water and would choose it even if the price were the same. But how should we choose? Opt for what appears more abundant, or go for the actual volume. Similarly, in the stock market, the key is not to pick cheap stocks but to identify those with substantial intrinsic value and growth potential. As Warren Buffett famously said, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get." In stock investing, if you want to sit back and watch your stock prices rise daily without any effort, the intrinsic value of the stocks you buy must significantly exceed the price you pay. So, how high should a stock's intrinsic value be to qualify as high? That depends on our own assessment. Without understanding value evaluation, you won't know whether your purchase price is too high or too low, or whether your investment is within a safe margin or far from it. Warren Buffett, with over 5 decades of successful investing, has never experienced losses in major investments. His consistently high returns indicate accurate valuation. But how does Buffett assess the value of a company's stock? What's his secret to valuation? Section 1. History often repeats remarkably. Assessing the value of a company involves both art and science. History, as a concept in time and space, may not replicate identical conditions, but it often repeats similar social phenomena of fundamental historical logic. Stock market investment is a common social phenomenon, and thus, it repeats itself. When Warren Buffett considers a new investment, he often compares it to existing investments using the concept that history often repeats. If the new investment doesn't perform better than what he already owns, it doesn't meet his investment threshold. This method provides a 99% confidence level in evaluating the value of the current investment opportunities. For value investors, this concept serves as an indicator when assessing investment portfolios. As individual retail investors, we should study the past when evaluating future earnings. A company's historical growth record is a reliable indicator of its future trajectory. It helps us understand whether a company exhibits stable growth or operates cyclically with high debt. However, finding companies that maintain consistent growth over extended periods remains challenging. We need to carefully identify such companies one by one. If you plot the profit growth of these companies over the years, you'll notice an almost continuous trend. Regardless of economic booms or recessions, profits grow at a stable rate. Companies that maintain this level of consistent growth are likely to perform well in the future. Overconfidence in the companies we invest in often leads to overestimating their growth potential, assuming they can break away from their historical performance. This is a common mistake among retail investors. In reality, we should expect the opposite. As markets mature, expanding sales becomes increasingly difficult, and overall profit levels eventually stabilize. By applying the concept that history often repeats, calculating average profits from the past provides a more reasonable valuation. It also prevents extending unsustainable growth trends into the future. Another benefit of using average profits is that it eliminates the need to predict future economic conditions. You only need to estimate the company's overall profit level. Section 2. The simplest asset valuation method. Buffett's first move. Intrinsic value is a crucial concept, providing the only logical means to assess the relative attractiveness of investments and businesses. Assessing intrinsic value based on assets is the first valuation method Warren Buffett learned from his mentor, Benjamin Graham. Graham's approach, known as the father of Wall Street, emphasizes asset valuation. Asset valuation is the simplest method. First, we examine a company's balance sheet to determine its book value of net assets. Let's break it down. Imagine you and your spouse bought a small apartment worth $500,000. Since you both recently graduated and don't have substantial savings, you took out a $300,000 loan from the bank. In this case, the total asset value of the apartment is $500,000, and your combined debt is $300,000. Subtracting the debt from the asset value leaves you with $200,000, the net asset value belonging to both of you. So, for you both, the actual value of the apartment is only $200,000. But does this $500,000 represent the true value of owning the apartment? Not necessarily. This is just the book value. It reflects the historical purchase price, which often differs from the actual value. Suppose the real estate market booms, and the apartment's value increases from $500,000 to $1 million within 6 months. Now, the actual value you own is $700,000, subtracting the $300,000 debt. The apartment's value has doubled, but your net asset value has increased from $200,000 to $700,000, a 3.5-fold increase. When assessing a stock's intrinsic value based on assets, consider not only the book value per share from financial statements but also the company's actual market value. Graham relied on this method to re-evaluate the market value of listed companies, earning his reputation as the father of Wall Street. In 1926, Graham noticed that Northern Pipeline Company's stock price was only $65, but the company held substantial railway bonds. These bonds, when divided by the total shares, amounted to $90 per share, far exceeding the stock price. Graham made significant purchases, eventually owning 15% of the company. He convinced the management to sell the railway bonds and distribute dividends of $70 per share to shareholders. The stock price continued to rise, and Graham made $100 per share. With a $65 purchase cost, his return on investment was nearly 1.5 times. This became Buffett's first lesson from Graham: choose stocks priced significantly below their per-share asset value. In 1954, 24-year-old Buffett used the same method to discover undervalued assets. New Bedford Corporation stock was only $4.5 per share, but the company had substantial cash assets. Dividing the cash assets by the total shares resulted in $120 per share. Buffett profited significantly. In 1956, certainly. Let's explore the concept of profit valuation and the importance of the price-to-earnings ratio, PE ratio. Profitability valuation, Buffett's second move. When investing in the stock market, we essentially engage in business with many unfamiliar people, other investors, by collectively investing in publicly listed companies. Regardless of the investment amount, we all become shareholders in these companies. As shareholders, especially for long-term investors, our returns are based on the annual earnings per share, EPS, which is akin to dividends. This concept aligns with the principles of interest earned in a bank. In the stock market, we use the PE ratio as a crucial valuation indicator. The PE ratio measures how many times the stock price exceeds the EPS. It provides insight into how long it would take to recoup our investment capital. For instance, if you buy a stock at 10 yuan per share, and the PE ratio is 10, the annual EPS is 1 yuan. Therefore, it would take 10 years to fully recover your investment capital, assuming the PE ratio remains constant. Understanding the PE ratio's principles leads us to a critical realization: stocks with lower P/E ratios can potentially yield higher returns. A lower P/E ratio indicates a cheaper stock price, making it essential to choose stocks with low P/E ratios. This principle is one of the key lessons Warren Buffett learned from his mentor, Benjamin Graham. For individual investors, this method is straightforward to apply. Numerous studies have demonstrated that purchasing stocks with low P/E ratios, especially in diversified portfolios, often yields higher returns than the overall market. Typically, when the stock market is sluggish, P/E ratios tend to be lower. For instance, during the peak of the uneasy U.S. bull market, many blue-chip stocks had average P/E ratios exceeding 80. At that time, Buffett steadfastly avoided buying, thus avoiding the subsequent 50% stock market decline. Conversely, during the 1974 bear market trough, many stocks had single-digit P/E ratios. Buffett began buying heavily and later profited significantly as the stock market rebounded. However, when using the P/E ratio for valuation, we must be cautious. The EPS, as the denominator, should not be based solely on historical data from the previous year or two. Instead, we should consider the stable, future EPS that the company can maintain. The simplest method is trend forecasting, using the average EPS over a complete business cycle to predict future earnings. Despite Buffett's success using the P/E ratio, he later realized that it isn't a flawless method. As he focused on long-term, concentrated investments, he demanded increasingly accurate valuations. Unfortunately, the simplicity and convenience of the P/E ratio can lead to misuse. When making precise investments, there's no guarantee of 100% accuracy, which can result in problems. Moreover, regardless of whether the P/E ratio is high or low, it's always relative. We often compare it to the average P/E ratio in the stock market or within a specific industry. However, individual companies' profitability can significantly differ from the industry average, and the market's average P/E ratio can vary widely. Consider Nokia, which accounted for over 25% of the mobile phone industry's profits. Could we reasonably evaluate Nokia's P/E ratio using the average P/E ratio of thousands of smaller mobile phone companies? The answer is no. Similarly, combining Coca-Cola and PepsiCo gives them an 80% market share in the beverage industry, while thousands of smaller companies account for only 20%. Using those smaller companies' average P/E ratios to evaluate Coca-Cola and PepsiCo wouldn't be valid because they lack true comparability. Another drawback of P/E ratio valuation is that companies' reported EPS can be misleading. Companies often inflate their reported profits, creating a false impression of high P/E ratios. Buffett often cites a brain teaser attributed to President Lincoln: if you call a tail a leg, how many legs does a dog have? 5, right? But the reality is that no matter how many people call a tail a leg, it remains a tail. No amount of persuasion changes its true nature. Similarly, even if the whole world agrees that a tail is a leg, a dog won't suddenly grow an extra leg. Given the P/E ratio's limitations, Buffett increasingly recognized its flaws over the course of his investment career. While we can use this method as a reference, we shouldn't overly rely on it when evaluating stocks. From an increasing number of practical experiences, Warren Buffett has summarized valuable insights. One of these insights involves buying stocks of poorly performing companies at significantly lower prices than their book value. This strategy is akin to purchasing an old ship ticket for a small fee. However, once aboard the ship, investors may discover numerous leaks and holes in its hull, causing constant water leakage. While this straightforward valuation method seems foolproof, it has limitations. As more people adopt this approach, the availability of undervalued stocks decreases, and the number of stocks trading below their intrinsic asset value diminishes. Buffett also realized that assessing a company's value based solely on estimated asset value is insufficient. Understanding its earnings capacity is equally crucial. Buffett's experience teaches us that buying shares of exceptionally profitable companies at reasonable prices is far superior to acquiring shares of average-performing companies at bargain prices. This leads us to consider the concept of earnings-based valuation. Section 3, Earnings-based valuation. The second key. Earnings per share (EPS) is a critical valuation metric. It measures how long it would take to recoup our investment based on the current stock price. For instance, if you buy a stock at 10 yuan per share, and its PE ratio, price-to-earnings ratio, is 10, the annual earnings per share would be 1 yuan. Therefore, it would take 10 years to recover the entire investment, assuming the PE ratio remains constant. However, we must be cautious. The PE ratio alone is not sufficient. Comparing a company's PE ratio to industry averages or market benchmarks provides relative context. But individual companies' profitability varies significantly, and market-wide PE ratios can differ widely. Consider Nokia as an example. Its profits accounted for over 25% of the entire mobile phone industry's profits. Can we evaluate Nokia's PE ratio based on the average of thousands of smaller mobile companies? Clearly not, as they lack comparability. Additionally, PE ratios can be deceptive. Companies often manipulate reported earnings, leading to inflated PE ratios. The essence of a company's value remains unchanged despite surface appearances. Buffett humorously refers to this as the leg counting problem. If we consider a tail as a leg, does a dog have 5 legs? The answer is no. It still has 4 legs, regardless of how we label them. Recognizing the limitations of PE ratios, Buffett explored other valuation methods. However, he found that no single method was foolproof. As he focused on long-term, concentrated investments, he needed more precise tools. This led him to the third key valuation method, cash flow valuation. Section 4, Cash flow valuation. The third key. The value of any stock, bond, or company today depends on the expected cash flows generated over its remaining useful life, discounted at an appropriate rate. The stock market is complex, influenced by countless factors. How can we accurately assess stock prices, considering both potential losses and gains? Cash flow valuation emerged as Buffett's preferred model, surpassing other methods. While previous valuation approaches had limitations, cash flow valuation provided a more accurate assessment of the intrinsic value of consistently competitive businesses. Cash flow represents the net inflow and outflow of money. When evaluating a company's value, we focus on its business components, assessing the value they create. Imagine we're choosing a life partner. We seek someone with a promising future. Similarly, when investing in stocks, we select companies with stable, reliable performance and familiar business models. To calculate free cash flow per share, we examine the company's cash flow statement. Subtracting average long-term capital expenditures from the consistent operating cash flow yields free cash flow. Since long-term capital expenditures maintain a company's competitive advantage, we apply a relatively low discount rate. Buffett's chosen companies like Coca-Cola, with over 200 years of history, and the Washington Post 130 years, are exceptionally stable. By estimating future free cash flow based on their historical performance, we can assess their intrinsic value. However, caution is essential. Only a few companies can confidently predict future cash flows, so we must exercise prudence. In summary, while PE ratios serve as a useful reference, cash flow valuation provides a more robust framework. It allows us to evaluate a company's true worth, considering its consistent free cash flow over time. Just as Buffett chooses his investments wisely, we should diligently select stable, familiar companies and apply this straightforward valuation method. Section 5, Mastering the use of probability theory. First, multiply the probability of potential losses by the magnitude of those losses. Then, multiply the probability of potential gains by the magnitude of those gains, and compare the two. Although this method is not perfect, we do our best. Many people complain, I always seem to buy near the market's peak and sell near the market's low point. Why am I the one consistently losing money? In reality, it's the presence of speculative traders who buy when others buy and sell when others sell that creates the peaks and valleys in stock trading, at least in the short term. The consequences of this poor herd behavior are predictable. Is there a pattern in the stock market? Can we grasp its intricacies? If we claim that the stock market is a lawless world, we oversimplify. Stock prices result from the combination of countless forces, constantly in flux. Each force influences stock prices, yet none can be accurately predicted. Our task is to assess the probabilities of various price movements, evaluate the associated gains and losses, and select stocks with the most investment value. In the stock market, blindly following popular stocks doesn't guarantee success. We must understand what to do, what not to do, and when to act. Whether retail investors realize it or not, nearly all investment decisions involve probability. Warren Buffett's investment decisions also rely on probability theory, cleverly combined with his own insights. Buffett suggests, first, multiply the probability of potential losses by the magnitude of those losses. Then, multiply the probability of potential gains by the magnitude of those gains, and compare the two. Although this method is not perfect, we do our best. Let's consider an example when an uncertain event is repeated n times. The frequency of its occurrence reflects probabilities. For instance, if we flip a coin 100,000 times, we expect heads to appear around 50,000 times. This is a fundamental concept in probability theory. Note that we say expected 50,000 times because, theoretically, relative frequencies and probabilities become equal only as the number of repetitions approaches infinity. The chance of getting heads when flipping a coin is 50%. Buffett applies probability theory to his investment decisions, explaining his thought process. He says, if I believe an event has a 90% chance of occurring, with an upside of $3, and a 10% chance of not occurring, with a downside of 90 cents, the expected mathematical return is $1.80. Furthermore, Buffett emphasizes considering the time horizon, the span of time when comparing investment returns with other viable opportunities. This concept relates to opportunity cost. For example, if an engineer spends time fixing a pipe, the opportunity cost includes the potential profit lost by not focusing on their core work. Buffett's understanding of time span involves comparing potential returns from an investment. If you buy shares of company A at $27 per share, according to Buffett's calculation, the potential return rate is 6.6%. However, if the trade could be realized within 6 months, the annualized return would be 13.2%. Buffett compares this risk-adjusted return with other investment opportunities. Risk arbitrage often implies hidden potential losses. Buffett acknowledges that even in a certain profit scenario, he avoids ventures with high expected loss probabilities. In summary, probability estimation is a dynamic process, not fully encapsulated by a formula or table. It involves calculating probabilities, adjusting them based on new information, and increasing investment size as probabilities rise. However, remember to invest only when the probability of success is entirely in your favor. The key lies in effectively combining historical data with recent information. Many retail investors might think Buffett's successful strategy relies on unique mathematical abilities. However, Buffett believes this view is one-sided. Implementing this strategy doesn't require investors to master complex math. It's about understanding basic algebra. The challenge lies in consistently applying this skill in everyday life. By doing so, we lay the groundwork for better profits in the future. Buffett's mantra remains, first, multiply the probability of potential losses by the magnitude of those losses. Then, multiply the probability of potential gains by the magnitude of those gains, and compare the two. Although this method is not perfect, we do our best. Advice 6. Move toward profit, avoid harm. Laozi said, moving toward profit is advancement. Avoiding harm is retreat. Seeking profit and avoiding harm are common to all people. This principle also underlies Warren Buffett's legendary success in the stock market. Laozi's concept of profit and harm is relative. In the stock market, this relationship is reflected in the price and value of stocks. You can only profit when you buy at a price lower than the stock's intrinsic value. Moreover, your purchase price directly determines the potential returns from investing in that stock. In practical terms, you must understand the market's volatility and, amidst its fluctuations, use your keen intuition to accurately seize opportunities when stocks decline, a skill akin to finding treasure in the depths of the sea. Imagine a stage performance with both leading actors and clowns. Whether you play the lead or the clown, your performance not only needs to dazzle the audience during your entrance but also requires precise timing for your exit. The stock market is a grand stage, and you are either the star or the jester. During your performance, adhere strictly to the principle of buying at prices significantly below intrinsic value when entering. And when the show concludes, master the art of exiting at the right moment, learning to cut losses and take profits when the time is right. Section 1. Bidding with high odds of success. Buying stocks to profit from price differentials, investing in companies outside your core competitive circle, or making haphazard bids all lead to low-odds decisions. Personally, I estimate my odds of success to be around 99%. Warren Buffett's first investment principle, never lose money. His second principle, don't forget the first one. To truly follow these principles, apart from correctly evaluating companies, the key lies in patiently waiting for high-odds buying opportunities. The more attractive the purchase price, the more beautiful the future return on investment. Remember that the moment you place a bid, you've already determined the odds and potential returns for that investment. Let's consider a coin toss between you and me. Conditions: the winner takes the loser's wallet including everything inside, of course. Rules: when the coin lands, heads you lose, tails you don't win, edge you win. I believe anyone with a clear mind wouldn't participate in this bet. Why? Because you wouldn't joke with your hard-earned money. You know your odds of winning are low. So, what constitutes a high-odds purchase price? Suppose someone offers to sell you a banknote. How much are you willing to pay? First, we'd ask if the banknote is genuine. Second, we'd inquire about the value of that banknote, knowing it's a 100 yuan note. Third, we'd perform the following calculations: 10%, 20%, 30%, 40%, 50%, 100%, 91 yuan, 83 yuan, 77 yuan, 71 yuan, 66 yuan, 50 yuan. When you decide to bid for a company's 10-year earnings sharing rights, your mind should evoke this calculation process rather than making random bids. Remember that Buffett emphasizes the importance of sticking to high-odds purchase prices because, from the moment you bid, you've already determined whether this investment will be profitable and how much you'll gain. Truly follow the maxim: only make moves when necessary, and don't engage in unnecessary battles. Wait for the right price. Buffett once said that most of his mistakes now come from doing things he shouldn't, rather than not doing things he should. Remember, your initial purchase price will determine the annual return on investment. A good purchase price translates to a good investment return. Always adhere to the right price. Haphazard bids or paying too much for growth will lead to disastrous results. As ordinary retail investors, we should keep these principles in mind. Another key concept influenced by Benjamin Graham, which has shaped Buffett's investment philosophy. Section 2. Opportunity always follows danger. In times of extreme stock market pessimism and widespread economic gloom, opportunities for superlative investment returns tend to emerge. Stock prices fluctuate, and the stock market is ever-changing. Although some market downturns have persisted for several years, such as after 1929 and 1977, most declines are relatively short-lived, typically lasting only 4 to 6 months. While accurately predicting market volatility is challenging, one thing is clear: during specific periods, it becomes evident whether a stock's price is excessively high or not. Here's the key. Market euphoria. When the stock market is excessively bullish, only a few stocks remain undervalued relative to their intrinsic worth. During such times, only a handful of stocks are worth buying. Market despondency. Conversely, during severe market downturns, many stocks trade significantly below their intrinsic value. Investors often miss out on these opportunities due to limited financial resources. Thus, overall market pessimism lowers the cost of purchasing stocks, creating an optimal buying opportunity. Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, emphasizes seizing opportunities during market turmoil. He has demonstrated this approach through numerous successful cases. For instance, he bought shares of the Washington Post Company at $5.63 per share in 1973, even though the company's earnings reached $10.30 per share in 1987. Similarly, Buffett acquired Geico stock at an average price of $6.67 per share between 1976 and 1980, with post-tax operating profits reaching $9.01 per share by 1986. Buffett's philosophy is clear: sometimes the stock market allows us to buy outstanding companies at unbelievably low prices well below the agreement price for acquiring control of the entire company. For example, in 1973, we bought shares of the Washington Post at $5.63 per share. By 1987, the company's earnings were $10.30 per share. Similarly, we purchased Geico stock at an average price of $6.67 per share between 1976 and 1980, and by 1986, its post-tax operating profit was $9.01 per share. In situations like these, the market is indeed a very generous friend. In his 1996 Berkshire Hathaway shareholder letter, Buffett highlighted the benefits of market declines. First, it helps lower the overall acquisition price for companies we buy. Second, the depressed market makes it easier for our subsidiaries to purchase outstanding stocks of excellent companies at attractive low prices, even beyond their existing holdings. Overall, Berkshire Hathaway and its long-term shareholders benefit from continuously falling stock market prices, just as an elderly man benefits from falling food prices. Buffett's enthusiasm for market downturns reflects his belief that they provide excellent opportunities. As individual investors, understanding market patterns is crucial. Recognizing the characteristics of market bottoms can guide our decisions. 信号 loss of investor confidence. Most investors lose faith in the market during downturns, succumbing to fear. 信号 sharp index declines. Market indices plummet, repeatedly breaking through investors' psychological limits. 信号 widespread investor losses. Investors experience significant losses. 信号 few upward moving stocks. Very few stocks show daily gains of 5% or more, while many hit their daily limit down. 信号 prolonged index decline. The market remains in a prolonged downtrend, shrouded in negativity. 信号 numbness to positive news. Investors become desensitized to positive news. 信号 speculative forces retreat. Speculators exit the market. 信号 lack of market resilience. The market only falls without significant rebounds. 信号 new listings struggle. New stock listings perform poorly, with little interest from investors. 信号 government intervention. Authorities intervene and release encouraging messages. 信号 market insider revelations. Scholars and experts expose market issues, and media reveals insider information. 信号 market disconnect from macroeconomy. The market diverges significantly from macroeconomic conditions. 信号 market insider revelations. Scholars and experts expose market issues, and media reveals insider information. These features have consistently appeared during market bottoms. Investors should consider them when assessing market peaks and troughs. Remember, accurately identifying market bottoms is essential for profitable investing. By purchasing undervalued stocks at low prices during times of fear, You can remain excited while others are fearful, a strategy that echoes Buffett's approach. Section 3. Choosing undervalued stocks temporarily in crisis. The adjustments we face involve continuously generating more investment ideas at a pace similar to our cash growth. Therefore, a stock market decline can offer several apparent benefits. Previously, we focused on how individual investors can seize opportunities and gain profits during stock market fluctuations. In reality, not only does the stock market experience ups and downs, but the fundamental elements that constitute the market companies also go through cycles. The key lies in whether you can capitalize on these temporary fluctuations in companies' fortunes and purchase undervalued stocks at lower prices. Identifying undervalued stocks during a crisis means recognizing that when good companies face problems, it's an opportune time to buy their stock. Often, these opportunities arise in enterprises with sustained competitive advantages, where significant issues are only temporary and do not fundamentally impact the company's long-term competitive edge and profitability. If panic ensues in the market after a company encounters problems, resulting in massive stock sell-offs and significant price declines, value investors can find substantial safety margins and profit potential. As the company resolves its issues and returns to normal operations, the market re-evaluates its long-term profit potential, leading to substantial recovery. The stability of a company's enduring competitive advantage and long-term profitability is the fundamental reason for safeguarding investment capital. Warren Buffett's discernment allows him to distinguish true value from surface appearances. He specializes in purchasing stocks of good companies that temporarily suffer due to doubts or misunderstandings. In other words, he likes to invest when a solid company's stock price is temporarily depressed due to skepticism or misconceptions, often buying shares of seemingly dim prospects, a move that garners admiration and respect. For instance, in the late 1960s, after the American Express salad oil scandal, Buffett invested in the bank. In the 1970s, he acquired Geico, and in the early 1990s, he purchased Wells Fargo Bank. Buffett always remembers his mentor Benjamin Graham's advice: the market is full of short-term speculators focused on immediate gains. When a company faces operational difficulties, its stock price tends to decline. This presents an excellent opportunity for long-term investors to enter the market. It forms the theoretical basis for Buffett's preference to invest in good companies temporarily affected by doubts or misconceptions. In Berkshire Hathaway's 1996 shareholder letter, Buffett emphasized that market declines lead to lower stock prices, which benefit us in several ways. First, they reduce the overall acquisition price for companies we buy. Second, the depressed stock market makes it easier for our subsidiary insurance companies to purchase attractive shares of excellent companies at low prices, including increasing our existing holdings. Lastly, the outstanding companies we already own, such as Coca-Cola and Wells Fargo, continue to buy back their stock at cheaper prices, benefiting both their companies and us as shareholders. Shareholders of Berkshire Hathaway and its long-term investors gain more significant benefits from continuously declining stock market prices. For Berkshire Hathaway, market downturns are actually major positive news. Most people are interested in stocks that others find appealing. However, you should be interested in stocks when no one else is. The hotter the stock, the harder it is to make money. Only when the stock market is extremely depressed and the entire economy is pessimistic do opportunities for super investment returns emerge. In summary, for individual investors, the best investment opportunities often arise when excellent companies face temporary difficulties. Just as a surgeon seizes the right moment during surgery, we must master the principle of entering the market at such opportune times. Section 4. Concentrating risk. When you put all your eggs in one basket, you need to watch over them carefully. Concentrated investment does not mean there is no risk. The more you put your eggs in one basket, i.e., concentrate your investments, the more you need to focus on protecting those eggs and managing investment risks. If your investments are relatively concentrated, you'll have ample time to manage your stocks, making stock management simpler. Warren Buffett's investment strategy emphasizes spending most of your effort on selecting stocks initially and then patiently waiting. In other words, 80% of the work is in the early stages, while only 20% of your attention is needed later to monitor your stocks. However, stock prices will inevitably fluctuate, so it's crucial to be vigilant when they decline. Don't panic during stock downturns, otherwise, you risk losing what you've gained. Long-term declines should be taken seriously. Remember, concentrating your efforts helps control risk and is a constant reminder. Timely intervention for retail investors. Political events can have disastrous effects on the stock market. For instance, the U.S. invasion of Iraq would undoubtedly impact market sentiment. Economic events have a chain reaction effect on the stock market. Sometimes, their impact is unpredictable. Examples include the U.S. subprime crisis and continuous dollar depreciation, which significantly affected the global economy. Management changes. Keep an eye on corporate changes, especially those related to top management. High-level shifts can influence a company's future development, so pay sufficient attention. Company transformations. Be aware of significant adjustments and management changes within companies. This includes strategic shifts in product offerings, external investments, financial management, and cash flow variations. These factors have long-term effects on a company's operations. Industry shifts. Long-term investments require stable industry development. If an industry is undergoing significant changes, consider adjusting your investments. Should you focus on emerging industries? Is your current industry becoming obsolete? Both sunset and emerging industries pose risks, so monitor industry shifts. Remember, investing is a long-term process. Seeing the opportunity and taking profits. When others worry, be greedy. When others are greedy, be worried. The stock market is a grand stage, and you're either the star or the jester. When entering the stage, strictly adhere to the principle of buying at prices significantly below intrinsic value. But when the performance ends, compare prices to intrinsic value to determine your exit point. Learn to cut losses and take profits when the time is right. Warren Buffett suggests selling when a stock's price reaches its intrinsic value. Once a stock exceeds its intrinsic value, potential benefits diminish. Seek other undervalued stocks instead. Buffett observed that the longer you hold a stock purchased below its intrinsic value, the lower the expected annual compounded return. For instance, if you buy a stock with an intrinsic value of $30 per share at $20 per share, the annual compounded return drops to 22% in the first year. Over 3 years, it changes to 14.4%, 4 years to 10.6%, 5 years to 8.4%, 6 years to 6.9%, and 7 years to 5.9%. By the 8th year, it's 5.1%. Retail investors can also use profit-taking methods. Protect your gains by setting profit-taking points. Remember, profit-taking ensures you don't lose what you've earned. It's better to sell too early than too late. Remember these principles to maximize your profits. Think before acting. Many investors focus on stop-loss strategies when facing losses but neglect profit-taking concepts. Develop a profit-taking plan based on your current gains. Typically, profit-taking points should be within 8% of your existing profits. If a stock falls by about 8%, consider selling to prevent further declines. Monitor market trends. In bull markets, individual stocks experience more significant fluctuations, allowing for larger profit-taking margins. In bear markets, profit-taking margins should be narrower due to overall stock declines. The AQ spirit. When a stock hits your profit-taking point and then resumes an upward trend, don't regret setting the profit-taking order. Instead, evaluate whether your profit-taking threshold was reasonable and adjust as needed. Remember, profit-taking is a positive outcome, even if you leave some potential gains on the table. As investors, we can learn from these principles to navigate the stock market effectively. Keep your eyes open, stay rational, and adapt to changing conditions. Adjusting principles in a timely manner. For individual stocks, external sudden factors or major capital movements can cause price fluctuations. During such times, it's essential to adjust profit-taking levels appropriately. The larger the profit, the more flexible you can be with widening the profit-taking range, such as adjusting from 8% to 10% or 12%. Conversely, if the profit is small, narrow the profit-taking range, e.g., from 6%. However, always aim to protect your existing gains. You might say, if I had an 8% profit, I would have already sold. However, this approach has risks. Although there are numerous stocks in the market, few experience significant upward swings. Waiting for a stock to return to your selling price is often unrealistic. Instead, you end up buying at a higher price, reducing your overall profit. In summary, retail investors should learn from Buffett how to maximize profit-taking opportunities. Remember Buffett's timeless advice: when others worry, be greedy; when others are greedy, be worried. Section 6. Learning to cut losses. The ultimate goal of learning and applying stop-loss principles is to avoid needing them altogether. Warren Buffett is meticulous in stock selection, carefully choosing and patiently waiting for the right buying opportunities. Once he invests in a target company, he tends to hold for the long term rather than easily discarding the stock. However, this approach doesn't apply universally to all companies or situations. Only profits remain constant. When a significant change occurs, stubbornly holding onto deteriorating stocks becomes foolish. At such times, it's essential to let go. After all, even the moon wanes. In practical investing, Buffett also employs stop-loss strategies when companies lose growth potential or their fundamentals worsen. It's crucial to understand that investment stop-loss differs from speculative stop-loss. The former considers fundamental changes rather than just price fluctuations. You might say, I can't sell my stocks because I don't want to incur losses. However, stocks don't recognize your thoughts or expectations. The loss already occurred when the stock price declined. Waiting for the price to rise back to your cost price is like playing a joke on yourself. For example, if you bought 1,000 shares of a company at $20 per share, and the current price is $12, your holding is worth $1,200 against the initial investment of $2,000. Whether you sell the stock or continue holding, it's still worth $1,200. Even if you don't sell, you're still experiencing a loss due to the price decline. It's better to sell, revert to cash, and objectively re-evaluate the situation. If you continue holding and suffer more significant losses, you won't think clearly. Remember that many other stocks are available, offering opportunities to recover. For retail investors, adhere to this principle: limit the maximum loss for each stock to 7% to 8% of the initial investment. While institutional investors face challenges executing stop-loss orders quickly, retail investors have an advantage. Use it wisely. Remember, 7% or 8% represents an absolute stop-loss limit. Don't hesitate to sell those stocks. Don't wait a few more days to see what happens or hope for price rebounds. Waiting until the day's close isn't necessary. At this point, nothing else affects the overall market except the 7% or 8% decline in your stock. As an investor, always determine 3 price levels before buying: entry price, profit-taking price, and stop-loss price. If you haven't done this work well, avoid any actions. Learning to stop losses and adhering to these principles are fundamental for surviving and thriving in the stock market. Now, let's explore several specific stop-loss methods for retail investors. Spatial displacement stop-loss. 星号 initial stop-loss. Set a predetermined stop-loss level before buying the stock, e.g., 3% or 5% below the purchase price, but no more than 10%. If the stock price falls below this level, exit immediately, usually based on closing prices. 星号 break-even stop loss, adjust the initial stop loss price as the stock price rises rapidly. Calculate the stop loss price as the purchase price minus transaction costs. 星号 dynamic stop loss, continuously adjust the stop loss price upward as the stock price moves away from the break-even stop loss level. Observe volume-price relationships. If normal, set a certain percentage below the adjusted stop loss. If divergent, exit immediately. Time cycle stop loss. 星号 set a predetermined holding time for the stock, e.g., 1 day, 3 days, 1 week, 2 weeks. If the holding time reaches the set limit and the stock hasn't followed the expected trend or reached the stop loss level, exit immediately. Avoid turning short-term speculation into long-term holding, leading to prolonged losses. 3. Emotional volatility stop loss. 星号 if you feel uneasy, lose sleep, or lack confidence after buying a stock, it indicates insufficient reasons for the purchase. Exit decisively. 4. Unexpected event stop loss. 星号 if a significant event occurs that invalidates the original investment thesis, exit to prevent further losses. These are straightforward stop loss methods. Remember that stop loss isn't the ultimate goal of investing, but understanding the concept and adhering to principles are essential for success. Consistently applying these principles will improve your success rate and precision in executing stop loss orders. While you may not achieve 100% wins, you'll certainly avoid unnecessary losses. The ultimate goal of setting stop loss rules will become evident. Advice 7. Concentrate superior forces for the best strateg. Should you put all your eggs in one basket, or should you distribute them across different baskets? This debate has given rise to two investment strategies in the financial world: diversification and concentration. Diversification advocates argue that for safety reasons, you should spread your eggs across different baskets. That way, even if one basket breaks, the overall loss won't be too significant. On the other hand, concentration proponents believe in putting all your eggs in one basket and then watching that basket closely. They argue that by focusing on a select few investments, you can better care for your well-filled basket and prevent any eggs from breaking. These two investment strategies align with two distinct work styles. Imagine stockbrokers, as portrayed in movies, constantly on edge, managing portfolios of hundreds of stocks. Each stock's fluctuations affect their nerves. They frantically take notes, shout into multiple phones, and keep their eyes glued to computer screens displaying ever-changing numbers. Now contrast this with the life and work of their idol, Warren Buffett. He's far from a workaholic. Instead, he enjoys ample free time. Unconcerned about short-term stock price changes, he leisurely makes breakfast, chats with philosopher friends on the floor, and speaks softly. Rather than merely an investor, Buffett resembles a thinker and philosopher. His legendary success owes not only to innate confidence but also to his unconventional concentrated investment approach. Buffett has consistently summarized his investment strategy as few but excellent. He concentrates his funds on a handful of outstanding companies within his circle of competence, those he understands well. Buffett believes diversification is a protective umbrella for the ignorant. If you have some knowledge of investing and understand a company's operations, choose 5 to 10 reasonably priced companies with long-term competitive advantages. Traditional diversification, broad-based active securities investment becomes meaningless for you. For individual investors lacking Buffett's exceptional ability to analyze company values, diversification can be a double-edged sword. They face various market risks such as index crashes, policy swings, regulatory investigations, false performance claims, fraud, and lock-in risks while holding a limited amount of capital. Trying to understand every stock in a rapidly changing market is dangerous. Instead of diversifying widely, consider following Buffett's lead. Choose a few stocks you thoroughly understand and have great confidence in. Concentrate your efforts where your strengths lie. The first section, putting all your eggs in one basket. The saying, "Don't put all your eggs in one basket," is a colossal fallacy. Instead, consider Mark Twain's advice: put all your eggs in one basket and watch that basket carefully. While financial literacy grows, many now believe in diversification to mitigate risk. However, Buffett offers a unique perspective: put your eggs in one basket and watch it closely. In his view, managing too many baskets spreads your attention thin and increases risk. For individual investors, buying unfamiliar stocks to diversify risk isn't wise. Instead, concentrate your funds in areas and stocks you know well. This allows you to focus your energy and time on managing your capital effectively. Buffett considers diversification a protection against ignorance. For those who understand their investments, diversification loses its meaning. He humorously quotes Broadway host Billy Rose, "If you have 40 wives, you never know which one your eye is on." When speaking to business school students, Buffett suggests creating a card with 20 holes after graduation. Each time you make an investment decision, punch a hole. Those with fewer holes will likely be wealthier. For individual investors, following a concentrated strategy like Buffett's can lead to safer, more stable investment returns. While concentration seems straightforward, misconceptions persist. The essence of concentrated investment lies in selecting a few stocks that consistently outperform the market over the long term. Once chosen, hold these stocks regardless of short-term price fluctuations. However, concentrated investors aren't as idyllic as they appear. A single mistake can lead to significant losses, deterring most from trying this excellent strategy. Buffett's life lesson: simplicity is key. He avoids complex investment portfolios. He'd rather wait patiently for the right opportunity than make frequent transactions. As an independent investor, he waits in the batter's box for the perfect pitch. If he wants the ball to hit his belly button 2 inches above other spots, he'll stand there until it happens. Buffett advises active investors to limit their trading frequency, perhaps buying or selling only once or twice a year to maintain rationality when choosing stocks. The greatest benefit of concentrated investment is that investors fully understand the stocks they're about to purchase. Diversification wastes energy. Instead, concentrate resources on a few significant investments. Buffett's philosophy is simple: you don't need to be right about everything in life. Just avoid too many wrong decisions. When Warren Buffett was 8 years old, he bought his first stock. Although he made a profit of $5, he faced a significant loss because he succumbed to his sister's nagging and sold the stock prematurely. Shortly after he sold it, the stock skyrocketed from $40 to $200, leaving Buffett with regret. He vowed to remember this lesson forever. Throughout his professional career, Buffett maintained minimal contact with his clients. He believed that this approach allowed him to implement investment strategies according to his own preferences. For instance, he concentrated 40% of his funds in American Express, a move that would have worried his clients had they known. They might have bombarded him with questions or sent materials for him to review. If he was lucky, it would have been a minor inconvenience, but if luck wasn't on his side, his investment plan could have been disrupted. Buffett likened this situation to a surgeon chatting with a patient during a risky operation. Many individual investors today express interest in concentrated investing. Beyond the surface meaning of this strategy, several critical questions arise. How do you select suitable stocks from thousands of constantly changing options? What constitutes true concentration? How many stocks should one hold? And how long should one hold each stock? Is this strategy truly advisable? These questions often occupy the minds of curious and thoughtful individuals. However, even Buffett himself acknowledges that there is no definitive answer. In this volatile era, claiming mastery over the market remains elusive. Our best course of action is to study the methods that have proven effective, understand the underlying reasons, and adapt our investment approach to the ever-changing market. Section 2. Avoid attempting to diversify risk. When you don't know what you're doing, that's when risk occurs. In the 1980s, many retail investors were enamored with an investment strategy called portfolio insurance. This strategy involved maintaining a balance between high-risk assets such as stocks and low-risk assets such as bonds or cash within an investment portfolio. The goal was to ensure that the portfolio's returns would not fall below a predetermined minimum standard. When the value of the portfolio held by retail investors decreased, it was because they shifted funds from high-risk assets to low-risk ones. Conversely, when the portfolio value increased, they moved funds from less risky assets to riskier ones. Warren Buffett strongly disapproves of this risk diversification approach. He believes that true risk occurs when you don't understand what you're doing. For a rational investor, choosing high-quality companies and avoiding poor ones is almost a matter of common sense. While diversifying risk itself isn't inherently wrong, especially for retail investors seeking to protect their capital, it's not essential for those aiming to make profits. Ensuring the safety of capital is important, but it's not the fundamental or absolute necessity for those seeking gains. If you're not focused on profitability, depositing money in a bank might be even safer. Think about it: if you put all your eggs in multiple baskets, and all those baskets fall simultaneously, there's no way to salvage the situation. The Asian financial crisis serves as an example. The best investment strategy is to put all your eggs in one basket and watch over it carefully, preferably with a firm grip. Before deciding to diversify your investments, consider this: how many phone numbers can you remember? Most people can recall about 100. What's your limit? Human attention is limited, and when you hold too many stocks, it's easy to lose focus and the ability to assess individual stocks. In the fast-paced stock market, you must always have a sense of whether price fluctuations are normal to time your entries and exits. Buying a bunch of different stocks across various categories, including obscure ones, is a typical mistake made by retail investors. It leads to attention being scattered. The best approach is to concentrate your precious attention on 3 to 5 stocks with the most potential. Over time, you can gradually increase the number of stocks you monitor, but always stay within your limits and avoid feeling overwhelmed. Warren Buffett's success teaches us that concentration leads to success. As he aged and gained experience, Buffett increasingly believed that the right investment approach involves putting a significant amount of capital into companies he understands and has confidence in their management. Many people like to diversify their funds across companies they know little about and lack any compelling reasons to invest. However, this viewpoint is flawed. Everyone's knowledge and experience have limits, and discovering more than 3 companies that inspire confidence and keeping track of their dynamics is extremely challenging. Therefore, retail investors should firmly hold on to a few promising stocks rather than jumping in and out of a pile of poorly performing ones. Section 3. Bet on high probability events. Our investments focus solely on outstanding companies. We are concentrated investors. In the stock market, everyone wants to seize good investment opportunities. For retail investors, having the ability to recognize these opportunities is crucial. So, how can you grasp these opportunities? When you firmly believe you've encountered an elusive golden opportunity, the only correct action is not to miss it and invest heavily. This approach is based on a simple principle: when the likelihood of success is high, the more you invest, the greater the return. Concentrated investing requires careful stock selection. It's why focused investing is more efficient than diversification. Diversification can unconsciously lead to complacency, where you don't fully immerse yourself in the process. After all, you might think that casting a wide net will catch big fish, but this perspective is purely probabilistic. In contrast, concentrated investing demands extra caution. If you don't approach it this way, you risk failure. Over the years, Warren Buffett has developed a strategy for selecting investable companies. One of his principles is to find outstanding companies and bet heavily on high-probability events. His company choices are based on a straightforward understanding the company's stock price partly reflects its intrinsic value, such as effective management and exceptional leadership. Rather than obsessively tracking stock prices, Buffett focuses on analyzing the economic conditions of potential companies and evaluating their management. He applies a comprehensive set of investment principles to assess each opportunity. Activating and combining these analytical tools helps us find companies that yield the highest economic returns. Warren Buffett's fundamental principles lead you toward excellent companies, allowing you to engage in concentrated securities investment. Therefore, your preferred investments should be those outstanding companies with stable management and a track record of exceptional long-term performance. These companies not only consistently outperform in the past, but are also likely to generate substantial future returns. This is the essence of concentrated investing, focusing your investments on the few companies with the highest probability of above-average performance. Buffett emphasizes the importance of selecting your eggs carefully. As we mentioned earlier, start by investing in industries you're familiar with. Consider both the industry's current state and its future prospects. Analyzing Buffett's historical investment choices reveals his preference for traditional economic sectors. These industries tend to be stable, with lower short-term volatility and strong long-term growth potential. Based on an analysis of Buffett's investment portfolio over the years, he favors sectors such as banking, insurance, media, dining, and energy. These industries exhibit stability and offer robust long-term growth prospects, making them suitable for long-term holdings. Buffett's investment experience has taught him that high-quality, well-managed companies often command higher prices. However, when he identifies attractively priced exceptional companies, he doesn't hesitate to make substantial acquisitions. His investment decisions remain unaffected by economic cycles or market pessimism. If he believes an investment is absolutely attractive, he boldly buys. This concentrated investment strategy has yielded substantial profits for him. For instance, in 1988, Buffett made a brilliant move. He initially acquired $14 million worth of Coca-Cola stock. By year-end, his investment in Coca-Cola reached $594 million. The following year, he added 9,175,500 shares of convertible preferred stock, pushing Berkshire Hathaway's investment in Coca-Cola beyond $1 billion. This decisive action resulted in significant profits. By the end of 1989, Berkshire Hathaway's unrealized gains from Coca-Cola amounted to $780 million. In Buffett's common stock portfolio, daily consumer goods accounted for over half of the holdings. The primary goal of concentrated investing is to generate profits. Therefore, the advice on rational capital allocation from diversification theory becomes less persuasive. According to diversification theory, investors should diversify across markets and regions. This includes investing in both Western markets such as Europe and the United States and Asian markets such as Japan, Hong Kong, and emerging markets like Thailand and South Korea. Diversification also extends to various asset classes, including stocks, bonds, and commodity futures such as oil and metals. However, this approach requires extensive knowledge of each market, both domestically and internationally, as well as familiarity with different industries and asset types. These requirements are more suited to institutional investors rather than individual retail investors. Rather than trying to understand numerous industries and rules, focus on understanding the industries and companies you're familiar with. Identify promising companies, buy one or two with growth potential, and carefully monitor them. Remember, Buffett's stock portfolio never exceeds 12 stocks. Buffett's famous quote for every investment you make, "You should have the courage and confidence to put more than 10% of your net assets into that stock," highlights the importance of conviction. Concentrated investing isn't merely about finding 10 good stocks and evenly distributing your capital. While all stocks in concentrated investing are high-probability events, some will inevitably outperform others. Properly allocating investment capital requires proportional distribution. Poker players are well aware of this technique. When the situation is highly favorable, place significant bets. However, when interpreting Buffett's advice to bet big, remember that any significant move must be based on a thorough understanding of market conditions. It requires careful consideration. Opportunities arise when you're well prepared, combining decisive action with fundamental knowledge. Buffett believes that at all times, you should never forget the importance of prudence. No one can instantly predict the true direction of the stock market. Stocks that surged 5 minutes ago might plummet just as quickly. Therefore, before making any large-scale investment, test the waters and gradually increase your investment once you're confident. Many retail investors often act blindly, investing their hard-earned money or even borrowed funds in stocks they don't fully understand, based on rumors or hearsay. Such reckless behavior is not advisable. It can lead to crises and misfortune for both individuals and families. When learning from Buffett's bet big investment strategy, always understand the context and ensure you have a clear understanding before taking action. Knowledge is key. In the fourth section, let's explore optimizing your investment portfolio. Buffett's key principle is to concentrate investments in outstanding companies that investors truly understand. This approach significantly reduces risk compared to diversifying across many companies that investors know little about. Buffett's success in managing Berkshire Hathaway's investment portfolio lies in his ability to adapt to changing circumstances. While most people succumb to temptation and engage in frequent buying and selling in the stock market, Buffett remains calm and patient. Even during his time working in New York, where people constantly discussed market trends and which stocks to buy, Buffett maintained a level-headed approach, making informed decisions. Buffett's investment portfolio, often considered a holy grail by investors, is surprisingly straightforward. Let's examine some key observations. Limited holdings. Buffett holds a very small number of stocks each year, usually between 13 and 15. As an investment master, he keeps his stock count intentionally low. Long-term holdings. Many of the companies in Buffett's portfolio are held consistently over several years. This consistency is evident when reviewing his annual portfolios. Industry concentration. Buffett's investments are concentrated in specific industries, reflecting his deep familiarity with those sectors. Resilience in downtrends. His stock holdings tend to weather market downturns well, yet they outperform during upswings. His performance exceeds the Dow Jones Industrial Average by 33%, and remarkably, he has never reported a loss in any year. This suggests that his portfolio thrives during strong upward trends and remains stable even in adverse market conditions. Steady growth. Buffett's investment portfolio is positioned for robust long-term growth. Even during unfavorable market conditions, it continues to appreciate. The high returns come with minimal volatility, emphasizing the stability of his portfolio. Achieving such consistent results requires exceptional talent. Successful concentrated investors cultivate a specific mindset. The path is often rocky, and the right choice may defy intuition. The frequent market fluctuations can unsettle retail investors, leading to irrational actions. It's crucial to control emotions and be prepared to make rational decisions even when intuition suggests otherwise. As mentioned earlier, the future rewards those who remain steadfast and put in significant effort. Buffett's portfolio takes concentration to another level. He focuses on the intrinsic nature of businesses and their purchase price. If a company's financials remain as strong as when he bought the stock, Buffett is willing to hold it indefinitely. This ensures he benefits from the compounding effect of retained earnings while avoiding tax erosion from selling stocks. Consider Buffett's purchase of American Express stock in 1963. Working for a limited investment partnership in Omaha, Nebraska during the 1950s and 1960s, he had the flexibility to invest significantly when opportunities arose. In 1963, such an opportunity presented itself. Due to the Tino de Angelis salad oil scandal, American Express stock plummeted from $65 to $35. Despite widespread belief that American Express was at fault, Buffett invested 40% of the partnership's assets, 3 million, into this excellent stock, representing 5% of American Express shares. Over the next 2 years, American Express stock tripled, resulting in a $20 million profit for Buffett's partnership. Buffett's investment philosophy can be summarized as follows: when I invest in stocks, I consider myself a business analyst, not a market analyst, securities analyst, or macroeconomist. From rags to riches, Buffett consistently seeks undervalued stocks in the capital market. He dismisses technical analysis and insider information for speculation. This self-centered investment approach has led to long-term profitability. Buffett emphasizes 5 key criteria when selecting investments. E. Earnings, focus on earnings potential. A. Return on equity, consider the return on invested capital. 3. Intrinsic value, avoid overpaying for a stock. 4. Management, when acquiring a company, retain its existing management. 5. Simplicity, prefer businesses with straightforward operations. Buffett recommends constructing investment portfolios based on the time required for management. Rather than diversifying across various tools based on risk, he suggests allocating funds according to the time commitment needed. Investments requiring constant monitoring should receive a smaller share, while those needing less attention can receive a larger allocation. Remember that human energy is finite. Avoid exhausting yourself managing your portfolio. Allocate more to investments that require less active management, allowing you more leisure time for rest, entertainment, family, and travel. By optimizing your investment portfolio, you can achieve greater efficiency. Buffett's success teaches us that concentration leads to success. As you gain experience and accumulate knowledge, consider investing substantial capital in companies you understand and have unwavering confidence in. Advice 8. Patience pays off, the long-term approach in investing. Retail investors typically fall into 2 categories: short-term traders and long-term holders. Short-term traders aim for quick gains by buying and selling rapidly. They take profits when they make some money, referred to as bagging the gains, or cut losses when they lose, called stop loss. Their focus is on swift entry and exit, accumulating small profits over time. On the other hand, long-term investors hold their positions for extended periods. Long-term investors don't sell after making small profits. Instead, they aim for substantial gains over time. Their strategy emphasizes holding stocks, entering and exiting positions gradually, and earning slow but significant returns. Now, let's explore a fable about the race between a rabbit and a turtle. In the stock market, it's like a daily marathon between short-term traders, the rabbit, and long-term investors, the turtle. In the well-known fable, the overconfident rabbit lost to the turtle because it took a nap during the race. Determined to prove itself, the rabbit challenged the turtle to another race, this time a marathon. The turtle agreed, and the rabbit vowed not to sleep. However, the rabbit had a habit of hopping in different directions, wasting energy. Despite its speed, the constant changes in direction limited its progress. The turtle, focused on the right path, steadily crawled forward and won again. The rabbit, exhausted and disoriented, couldn't keep up. In reality, long-term investors like the turtle often outperform short-term traders, the rabbit. Warren Buffett, the legendary investor, exemplifies this approach. His famous saying, "A bird in the hand is worth 2 in the bush," reflects the wisdom of long-term investing. Buffett's investment journey began in 1965. He achieved success by holding a small number of stocks for the long term, outperforming Wall Street speculators. His early acquisitions included Berkshire Hathaway, Geico, and the Washington Post. Buffett personally visited company management and emphasized understanding the qualitative aspects of businesses. He believed that aligning personal interests with shareholders and building relationships with outstanding managers were crucial. Buffett's investment philosophy diverged from others over time. He focused on quality businesses, even if it meant holding them for decades. His principle: if you aren't willing to own a stock for 10 years, don't even think about owning it for 10 minutes. Value investing, Buffett's chosen path, isn't easy. It's a lonely road filled with challenges. To persevere, one needs extraordinary patience and the courage to overcome inner obstacles. When faced with crises, many retreat and sell. But true success lies beyond those difficult moments. While many claim to be value investors, few match Buffett's spirit and results. Risk is inherent in investing. Different risk perspectives lead to opposite decisions and outcomes. Buffett's greatness lies not in his wealth but in his exceptional investment philosophy. He dedicated a lifetime to persistence, thoughtful decisions, and seizing critical historical moments. For retail investors, the hardest task. Staying the course during the toughest times, truly mastering the patience pays off strategy of putting out a long line to catch big fish in the investment world. Section 1. The enduring charm of long-term holding. If you're not prepared to hold a stock for 10 years, don't even think about holding it for 10 minutes. In life, we should always start with a clear purpose and see things through to the end. However, the reality is that many people begin with enthusiasm but fail to follow through consistently. Retail investors often hope to catch the next big stock in the market, but to truly make substantial gains, it's not just about picking the right stock, it's also about holding on to it. As Warren Buffett famously said, making money in the stock market is easier with your rear end than with your head. Many people spend a lot of effort analyzing and selecting promising stocks, yet they struggle to stay firmly seated on the bull's back. Instead, they jump from one bull to another, never really going the distance. Sometimes, the best strategy is to stick with a single strong performer. Here's where we can learn from Warren Buffett. To achieve significant long-term returns in the stock market, you must be committed to holding on to your investments. Buffett follows a long-term investment approach. When a company's stock price is significantly undervalued by the market, he buys heavily and then holds for the long haul. This is based on his famous investment philosophy that intrinsic value should exceed market value. For instance, Buffett held shares of Gillette for a whopping 16 years, reaping substantial returns. He also owns stock in many other large companies like American Express, Coca-Cola, Disney, Gillette, McDonald's, and Citigroup. These are stable, reputable companies with high dividend returns, ensuring the preservation and growth of his investments. Investing is inherently a long-term endeavor because short-term market fluctuations are unpredictable. Frequent trading can accumulate significant costs, including taxes and transaction fees, which can erode your overall returns. Think of buying stocks as a major purchase. You wouldn't buy and sell your house or car 20 times in a year. Buffett consistently emphasizes that if you're not ready to hold a stock for 10 years, don't even consider holding it for 10 minutes. The benefits of long-term holding are twofold. Reduced transaction costs. Fewer trades mean lower transaction fees for long-term holders. In contrast, frequent buying and selling accrue various costs, ultimately impacting overall returns. To outperform the market average, short-term trades must yield returns significantly higher than the average, compensating for these costs. Compound interest time is a powerful factor for long-term investors. Compound interest works wonders over extended periods. Buffett's annual compounded return of 28.4% has made him a global super-wealthy individual. Small percentage differences over time can lead to astonishing disparities. For example, if you invest $100,000 at a tax-free annual rate of 5%, it will grow to $342,200 after 30 years. However, at a 10% annual rate, it would reach $1,744,900, a substantial difference. By minimizing transaction costs and maximizing compound interest, long-term holding becomes an attractive strategy. Buffett's 40-plus years of adhering to this approach have created enormous wealth for shareholders who trust his investment philosophy. Berkshire Hathaway, his company, has nurtured countless millionaires and billionaires across the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, India, and Canada. In Omaha, where Buffett resides, the company alone has produced 200 billionaires. Buffett consistently evaluates investments based on the intrinsic value of companies. His approach involves analysis, patience, tracking, buying, holding, and continuing to wait. While seemingly straightforward, it has generated immense wealth. Buffett excels at purchasing stocks at relatively low prices relative to their high return potential. For instance, during the uneasy U.S. stock market crash, he calmly acquired a significant stake in Coca-Cola at an attractive price, securing a glorious entry in his investment history. Once he buys, Buffett holds for the long term. He believes that before investing, one must focus on a company's future value. Selling high-quality companies, especially star performers like Coca-Cola, is never a good idea. In his view, the right time to sell is forever. Buffett's unwavering faith in this investment philosophy, emphasizing long-term holding, is applicable to everyone. While retail investors may not reach Buffett's level, embracing this mindset is crucial. Remember, stock investing is not a lightning battle, it's a marathon. Victory lies in persistence. Hold on, and hold on. Section 2. Holding stocks with a lifelong commitment. Approach stockholding with the mindset of a lifelong marriage. When you buy a house, you don't constantly buy and sell based on short-term fluctuations in property prices. Similarly, when you marry someone, you don't leave at the first sign of emotional change. While romance and weddings are momentary, a truly happy marriage requires a lifetime of commitment. Many people have experienced passionate love, but very few manage to stay together happily until old age, often because they lack the ability to endure. Buying stocks may be an impulsive decision, but reaping substantial profits through long-term holding takes years, even decades. While many people identify and invest in promising stocks, only a handful truly make significant gains. The reason? Most lack the persistence required for long-term holding. The secret to a blissful marriage lies in staying committed to someone genuinely worthy of love, remaining devoted until the end. Similarly, successful investing involves holding onto outstanding company stocks throughout your life. Just as enduring marriages withstand trials over time, Buffett's perspective emphasizes adopting a lifelong commitment when it comes to stockholding. Of course, Buffett's endorsement of long-term investment assumes that the chosen companies are excellent and possess long-term growth potential. He distinguishes between investors and speculators. Speculators focus on stock prices, while true investors consider a company's business fundamentals. Buffett's classic approach remains steadfast even when whispered secrets about interest rate changes reach his ears. His unwavering confidence and resilient spirit reflect his ability to rise above market noise, maintaining a calm and detached mindset. In contrast, retail investors often lack firm resolve, swaying with the wind and making hasty decisions based on short-term trends, ultimately leading to losses. Many people find long-term holding challenging, much like navigating the 7-year itch in marriage. Temptations abound, and without steadfast commitment, they get mired in various pitfalls. Buffett disapproves of such behavior, equating frequent trading with romantic flings. Indeed, investing and marriage share similarities. Both require selecting the right partner or stock at the opportune moment and maintaining the relationship as long as conditions remain favorable. Buffett has specific criteria for evaluating companies, rarely finding more than 3 simultaneously that inspire confidence. He advocates concentrated investments, directing substantial funds into a few carefully chosen stocks within his comfort zone. Once he buys, Buffett intends to hold long-term, even indefinitely, allowing these stocks to generously reward him. As a business operator, I become a better investor. As an investor, I become a better business operator. This dual perspective keeps Buffett focused on business fundamentals rather than short-term stock fluctuations. He oversees companies, providing long-term capital and ensuring their policies continue to align with his vision. Like a committed marriage, once you've chosen your partner, stay unwavering. Buffett's investment approach is equally commendable, He avoids drastic changes and doesn't seek total control. Instead, he maintains a relationship investment model, which has indeed yielded enormous profits. In the words of Susher, those who set lofty goals must not only possess extraordinary talent but also unyielding determination. To learn from Buffett, ask yourself, am I truly committed to long-term holding? Here's a humorous anecdote. A person invested in stocks but ended up in prison due to a crime. After serving time, they discovered their stocks had multiplied several times over, turning them into a bona fide millionaire. The person lamented, if I hadn't been in prison, I probably would have sold during the market downturn, missing out on these gains. For retail investors, remember the parallel between stock market investment and marriage. Avoid fixating on short-term gains or losses. Instead, develop a reliable investment philosophy, seeking superior long-term returns, just as you nurture a lasting marriage. Section 3. Once owned, nothing else desired. In the short term, the stock market acts like a voting machine, with popular stocks rising. However, from a long-term perspective, the stock market behaves like a weighing scale. Fundamentally strong stocks are never lonely. We know that Warren Buffett's investment strategy primarily involves long-term investing. His approach can be summarized in 3 points. First, identify valuable stocks. Second, buy those stocks. And third, patiently wait for them to appreciate. Buffett's golden rule is to buy when he's confident and hold steadfastly. Retail investors often have limited capital, asymmetric information, and weaker policy insight, making it challenging to navigate the unpredictable stock market for long-term investments. However, if retail investors shift their mindset, establish unwavering beliefs, and adopt a once-owned, nothing else desired attitude, they can fish for big opportunities like Buffett. Here are 2 key considerations. Timing. Choose the right entry point. Market cycles alternate between bear and bull markets. Bulls attract active trading and a crowd of investors, while bears are characterized by low activity and diminished popularity. Bear markets tend to be longer, while bull markets are shorter. Wise investors enter during market downturns because historical data shows that the biggest losses often occur during bull markets. Although bull markets offer more profit opportunities, they also come with higher risks. Only a few experienced and skilled individuals can consistently exit bull markets victoriously. Thus, when the market is overheated, it loses investment value, whereas during downturns, it becomes more attractive. A sluggish market accumulates energy and often creates successful investors. Boldly entering when sentiment is extremely negative and market talk turns pessimistic can lead to victory. Stock selection techniques for the long term. Consider the peeling method. Imagine bamboo shoots. The tender core is delicious, but you must peel away the tough outer layers. Similarly, for long-term investments, peel away layers of information to reveal the essence. Avoid stocks that exhibit the following characteristics. 1. Fraudulent behavior. Companies involved in false statements, insider trading, or providing misleading financial reports. 2. Malicious speculation. Stocks that media questions or those with excessive speculative gains. 2. Poor earnings and unstable dividends. Companies with inconsistent cash distribution. 2. Diversified businesses with weak core-focused companies lacking a clear primary business. 2. Poor management and volatile performance. Companies with erratic financials and high risk. 2. Depressed industries. Avoid sectors facing overall economic downturns. By applying these criteria, we can filter out certain stocks. Additionally, consider the following 4 types of stocks. Monopoly companies. These companies dominate their industry through geographic location, resource control, administrative licenses, or technological advantages. They expand rapidly, ensuring future returns. Although their stock prices may be high, they are reliable long-term investments. Companies with rich land reserves. Companies that acquire land at low prices can benefit significantly when the land appreciates. Real estate and commercial development can yield substantial profits. 3. High dividend stocks. Some companies offer attractive dividends due to past rounds of capital allocation. These dividends enhance growth potential. Stocks underwritten by brokerages. Stocks that were underwritten during market downturns may outperform when the market improves. Remember Buffett's saying, in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine, and popular stocks rise. But in the long term, it's a weighing scale, and fundamentally good stocks are never lonely. By mastering long-term stock selection techniques, we can achieve the mindset of once owned, nothing else desired. Section 4. Cultivating returns alongside potential stocks. Investment success lies in selecting excellent stocks at the right time and holding them long-term. While we often seek out high-flying stocks, they are relatively rare and require precise timing for entry and exit. Potential stocks, however, are equally important and shouldn't be overlooked. Just as in relationships, finding a partner doesn't always mean pursuing the most successful person. Sometimes, focusing on someone with growth potential can yield deeper and more rewarding connections. Risk in the stock market is similar to the risk in marriage. Everyone knows it's either gain or loss, yet many still venture forward despite a 50% chance of failure. To minimize risk, you need an investment perspective. It's like choosing a partner worth nurturing. Some say that after investing time and effort, they end up with someone who achieves success and then leaves them. But consider this, the divorce rate among those who invest in their marriages is often lower than among those who maintain a stable household. Similarly, identifying potential stocks requires patience. Warren Buffett, for instance, seeks companies that he believes will have significant competitive advantages over the next 10 or 20 years, what we commonly call growth stocks or hidden gems. Buffett evaluates the profit potential of growth stocks based on three aspects. Product profitability. Rather than comparing a company's product profitability to all listed companies, he compares it to competitors in the same industry. Often, growth stocks outperform their rivals. Return on equity capital. This metric, also known as the return on net assets, reflects how efficiently a company uses its existing capital to generate profits. Retained earnings profitability. It represents the return on profits not distributed to shareholders but reinvested. It indicates management's ability to use new capital effectively and the company's growth potential. Take Coca-Cola as an example. Buffett invested $1.3 billion in Coca-Cola in 1988 to 1989, and it has since yielded $7 billion in profits. Beyond stable business operations and strong economic moats, Buffett appreciated Coca-Cola's product profitability and capital allocation. Over the past decade, Coca-Cola's revenue increased 2.75 times, while earnings per share grew 2.85 times. Additionally, they bought back 25% of their shares, enhancing intrinsic value and benefiting shareholders. Growth stocks also benefit from larger market opportunities. As more people achieve prosperity, the stock market becomes a vast and promising arena. However, market capacity and growth potential vary across industries. Traditional businesses may not compare to high-tech manufacturing companies. Even within sectors, some companies have more room to grow than others. Other characteristics of growth stocks include Xinghao belonging to growth-oriented industries, e.g., biotechnology, space, electronics, and lifestyle improvement. Section 3. Once owned, nothing else desired. In the short term, the stock market acts like a voting machine, with popular stocks rising. However, from a long-term perspective, the stock market behaves like a weighing scale. Fundamentally strong stocks are never lonely. We know that Warren Buffett's investment strategy primarily involves long-term investing. His approach can be summarized in 3 points. First, identify valuable stocks. Second, buy those stocks. And third, patiently wait for them to appreciate. Buffett's golden rule is to buy when he's confident and hold steadfastly. Retail investors often have limited capital, asymmetric information, and weaker policy insight, making it challenging to navigate the unpredictable stock market for long-term investments. However, if retail investors shift their mindset, establish unwavering beliefs, and adopt a once-owned, nothing-else-desired attitude, they can fish for big opportunities like Buffett. Here are 2 key considerations. Timing. Choose the right entry point. Market cycles alternate between bear and bull markets. Bulls attract active trading and a crowd of investors, while bears are characterized by low activity and diminished popularity. Bear markets tend to be longer, while bull markets are shorter. Wise investors enter during market downturns because historical data shows that the biggest losses often occur during bull markets. Although bull markets offer more profit opportunities, they also come with higher risks. Only a few experienced and skilled individuals can consistently exit bull markets victoriously. Thus, when the market is overheated, it loses investment value, whereas during downturns, it becomes more attractive. A sluggish market accumulates energy and often creates successful investors. Boldly entering when sentiment is extremely negative and market talk turns pessimistic can lead to victory. Stock selection techniques for the long term. Consider the peeling method. Imagine bamboo shoots. The tender core is delicious, but you must peel away the tough outer layers. Similarly, for long-term investments, peel away layers of information to reveal the essence. Avoid stocks that exhibit the following characteristics. 星号 fraudulent behavior. Companies involved in false statements, insider trading, or providing misleading financial reports. 星号 malicious speculation. Stocks that media questions or those with excessive speculative gains. 星号 poor earnings and unstable dividends. Companies with inconsistent cash distribution. 星号 diversified businesses with weak core-focused companies lacking a clear primary business. 星号 poor management and volatile performance. Companies with erratic financials and high risk. 星号 depressed industries. Avoid sectors facing overall economic downturns. By applying these criteria, we can filter out certain stocks. Additionally, consider the following 4 types of stocks. Monopoly companies. These companies dominate their industry through geographic location, resource control, administrative licenses, or technological advantages. They expand rapidly, ensuring future returns. Although their stock prices may be high, they are reliable long-term investments. Companies with rich land reserves. Companies that acquire land at low prices can benefit significantly when the land appreciates. Real estate and commercial development can yield substantial profits. High dividend stocks. Some companies offer attractive dividends due to past rounds of capital allocation. These dividends enhance growth potential. Stocks underwritten by brokerages. Stocks that were underwritten during market downturns may outperform when the market improves. Remember Buffett's saying, in the short term, the stock market is a voting machine, and popular stocks rise. But in the long term, it's a weighing scale, and fundamentally good stocks are never lonely. By mastering long-term stock selection techniques, we can achieve the mindset of once owned, nothing else desired. Section 4. Cultivating returns alongside potential stocks. Investment success lies in selecting excellent stocks at the right time and holding them long-term. While we often seek out high-flying stocks, they are relatively rare and require precise timing for entry and exit. Potential stocks, however, are equally important and shouldn't be overlooked. Just as in relationships, finding a partner doesn't always mean pursuing the most successful person. Sometimes, focusing on someone with growth potential can yield deeper and more rewarding connections. Risk in the stock market is similar to the risk in marriage. Everyone knows it's either gain or loss, yet many still venture forward despite a 50% chance of failure. To minimize risk, you need an investment perspective. It's like choosing a partner worth nurturing. Some say that after investing time and effort, they end up with someone who achieves success and then leaves them. But consider this, the divorce rate among those who invest in their marriages is often lower than among those who maintain a stable household. Similarly, identifying potential stocks requires patience. Warren Buffett, for instance, seeks companies that he believes will have significant competitive advantages over the next 10 or 20 years, what we commonly call growth stocks or hidden gems. Buffett evaluates the profit potential of growth stocks based on three aspects. Product profitability. Rather than comparing a company's product profitability to all listed companies, he compares it to competitors in the same industry. Often, growth stocks outperform their rivals. Return on equity capital. This metric, also known as the return on net assets, reflects how efficiently a company uses its existing capital to generate profits. Retained earnings profitability. It represents the return on profits not distributed to shareholders but reinvested. It indicates management's ability to use new capital effectively and the company's growth potential. Take Coca-Cola as an example. Buffett invested $1.3 billion in Coca-Cola in 1988 to 1989, and it has since yielded $7 billion in profits. Beyond stable business operations and strong economic moats, Buffett appreciated Coca-Cola's product profitability and capital allocation. Over the past decade, Coca-Cola's revenue increased 2.75 times, while earnings per share grew 2.85 times. Additionally, they bought back 25% of their shares, enhancing intrinsic value and benefiting shareholders. Growth stocks also benefit from larger market opportunities. As more people achieve prosperity, the stock market becomes a vast and promising arena. However, market capacity and growth potential vary across industries. Traditional businesses may not compare to high-tech manufacturing companies. Even within sectors, some companies have more room to grow than others. Other characteristics of growth stocks include Xinghao belonging to growth-oriented industries, e.g., biotechnology, space, electronics, and lifestyle improvement. Xinghao having smaller capital, making it easier to anticipate growth and plan for capital increases. For individual investors, choosing growth-oriented companies for long-term investment ensures capital safety. To evaluate potential companies, consider factors like market potential, product development, research efforts, sales organization, profit margins, labor relations, management depth, cost analysis, and accounting records. If a company meets most of these criteria, it likely offers long-term investment value, safeguarding your capital and providing dividends and returns. Lastly, remember Buffett's philosophy: the length of a stock sideways movement determines its height when it rises vertically. In other words, patience pays off. Stock prices eventually rise. The higher the expected return, the longer the wait. Buffett exemplified this by patiently acquiring shares of Shaw Industries, the world's largest carpet manufacturer, even during economic challenges. His approach teaches us that success often requires enduring hardship and waiting for the right moment. So, when it feels unbearable, remember, in times of extreme patience, be even more patient. Advice 9, Safety first, earnings second. Safety first, earnings second. This is a crucial lesson imparted by Warren Buffett's mentor, Benjamin Graham. In 1925, when Graham was in his 30s, he founded an investment company with over $300,000 in capital. Year after year, he outperformed the market, becoming a millionaire. However, in October 1929, the stock market crashed dramatically, plummeting by 20% on October 29. Graham hadn't anticipated such a severe decline, and his losses escalated, wiping out 70% of his capital. He was on the brink of bankruptcy until his father-in-law stepped in with a $50,000 bailout. Graham reflected on his mistakes. Why hadn't he taken safety precautions? From this experience, Graham distilled an investment principle: never incur losses. This secret allowed him to avoid losses in subsequent investments, ultimately transforming him from near bankruptcy back to a millionaire. Warren Buffett learned this critical investment principle from Graham: 1. Avoid losses at all costs, and 2. Never forget the first rule. Since studying under Graham, Buffett has understood that risk management is paramount for any investor. learning how to mitigate risks is essential. Buffett's famous saying encapsulates this principle: the 3 secrets to success. 1. Avoid risk as much as possible to preserve your capital. 2. Avoid risk as much as possible to preserve your capital. And 3. Always remember the first 2 rules. This straightforward and effective investment guideline ensures that profits are possible only when losses are avoided. Imagine standing 1 kilometer away from a cliff. You won't fall off. But if you keep walking along the cliff's edge, eventually, a misstep will lead to eternal regret. Buffett once said, when building a bridge, you design it to carry a load of 30,000 pounds, but you only allow trucks weighing 10,000 pounds to cross. The same principle applies to investing. Japan, a country prone to frequent earthquakes, prioritizes safety in its architecture. Similarly, the stock market experiences frequent earthquakes, with even greater volatility. Therefore, a fundamental premise of stock investing is your stock safe during market tremors? How secure is it? Safety comes first. It's not just a principle, it's an attitude that shapes everything. Different attitudes lead to distinct thinking, which, in turn, influences behavior and outcomes. Before investing, consider not only the potential for gains but also the possibility of losses. When you invest in a stock, think about the price at which you buy it, ensuring you'll never incur losses. If you buy a stock today, hoping to make a quick profit tomorrow, your attitude might be casual. Conversely, if you plan to hold a stock for 10 years, your mindset would be different. Short-term and long-term attitudes diverge significantly. For retail investors, whether newcomers or seasoned traders, risk is ever present. Warren Buffett, the stock market sage, has weathered countless market earthquakes while consistently avoiding losses. His secret lies in prioritizing safety. And remember, it's not just the mega-billion-dollar investors like Buffett who need caution. Even small investors with low risk tolerance should always place risk management first. Section 1. Assessing your risk tolerance. Before you invest, it's essential to understand your risk tolerance for informed decision-making. Risk is inherent in the stock market. Whether you're a seasoned investor or a newcomer, whether you hold large positions or small ones, risk is unavoidable due to the unpredictable nature of stock prices. For individual investors, especially, their ability to withstand risk varies significantly. Factors influencing an individual's risk tolerance include age, experience, income, education level, psychological traits, occupation, and social connections. These factors can be summarized into 4 main aspects related to stock investing: motivation, financial strength, knowledge and experience, and psychological resilience. These 4 elements determine an individual investor's capacity to handle investment risk. Based on the above conditions, we can categorize an individual investor's risk tolerance into 3 levels: high, medium, and low. Positive investment mindset. Investors with strong risk tolerance tend to have a positive outlook on life. They are optimistic, emotionally resilient, and don't dwell on short-term gains or losses. Even when faced with local stock market setbacks, they can bounce back, re-evaluate, and continue their investment journey. Emphasis on long-term investing. Investors with high risk tolerance are drawn to stocks primarily for their dividends and long-term benefits. They don't rush for quick gains, focusing instead on the overall investment performance. Stable economic income. High-risk tolerant investors typically have stable and substantial income sources. They have diversified revenue streams and often possess business experience, allowing for additional income. Adherence to the 1/3 rule. These investors allocate a reasonable portion of their savings to stock investments, usually around 1/3. Their investment amount doesn't significantly exceed their regular income, ensuring a stable financial base to offset potential losses. On the other hand, low-risk tolerant investors exhibit the following characteristics. Speculative mindset, not investment. They enter the stock market driven by speculative desires rather than genuine investment intentions. Influenced by stories of others getting rich, they believe they can achieve the same results without fully understanding the risks. Often, they invest at high stock prices due to impulsive decisions. Reliance on a single income source, high expectations. These investors, often salaried workers, rely solely on their income for livelihood. They view stock investing as a shortcut to quick wealth, with high expectations of substantial returns. 3. Large initial investment amounts. Low-risk-tolerant investors often invest significant amounts, far exceeding their regular income. Their capital allocation disproportionately affects their overall savings, sometimes even leading to debt-financed investments. 4. Lack of stock knowledge. Limited social connections. They have minimal knowledge of stock markets and lack practical experience. Their information sources are limited to stock market rumors, publications, and anecdotal advice. Their social networks rarely include financial experts or experienced investors. Introverted personality, poor psychological resilience. These investors tend to be introverted, cautious, and overly concerned about money. Market fluctuations cause anxiety, and they fear both buying at high prices and selling at low prices. Such stress can significantly impact their daily lives. Before entering the market, investors can assess their risk tolerance based on the above characteristics. By honestly evaluating their situation, they can tailor their investment strategies accordingly. While affluent investors often approach the market with a well-prepared mindset, those with limited funds and lower risk tolerance should exercise caution. Controlling the investment amount can mitigate the emotional impact of stock market volatility and prevent it from affecting work and daily life. Additionally, the 16 questions provided can help individuals gauge their risk tolerance. A majority of yes answers indicate higher risk tolerance, making them suitable for stock market investments. Conversely, if yes answers are fewer than no answers, it suggests lower risk tolerance, and individuals should focus on gaining a better understanding of the stock market before making investment decisions. Remember that managing risk is crucial for successful investing, regardless of your risk tolerance. Section H. Never incur losses. The first rule, never incur losses. The second rule, never forget the first rule. As Sun Tzu said in The Art of War, hence, a skilled general seeks victory from the situation and does not miss the enemy's defeat. Therefore, victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek victory. In business, one should position oneself where defeat is impossible. The same principle applies to investing. Always strive to stand on the ground of invincibility. Thus, the fundamental principle of investing is to never incur losses. Losses occur only under one condition, when the selling price of an asset is lower than its purchase price. In other words, two conditions must simultaneously exist for a loss to occur. The first condition is that the current market price of the asset is lower than the price at which it was bought. The second condition is that the asset's transaction has indeed taken place. If either of these conditions is absent, no loss will occur. Ensuring that you don't incur losses means preventing both conditions from simultaneously being met. Clearly, the first condition depends on market supply and demand, which cannot be controlled by individuals. Therefore, investors need to focus on controlling the second condition to achieve what Warren Buffett famously advised: never lose money. In practice, although asset prices fluctuate wildly in the market, they ultimately fall into two possibilities: either the current price is lower than the purchase price or higher. When market prices are lower than the purchase price, avoiding transactions ensures that losses remain theoretical and only exist on paper. Patience is key, waiting for opportunities when market prices exceed the purchase price. However, when market prices are higher than the purchase price, the situation becomes more complex. Typically, investors can profit immediately by trading when prices are favorable. However, remember that almost all investors chase maximum profits. In the face of rapidly changing markets, greed often causes investors to miss optimal profit-taking opportunities. Consequently, many choose to continue waiting. During this endless waiting, there's no guarantee that the next market storm won't wipe out your paper gains or even your initial investment. To avoid losses, individual investors should avoid overreaching. Focus on mid to low-priced stocks, select fundamentally sound companies with growth potential, and trust that quality assets will eventually shine. The surefire strategy to prevent losses is to quickly lock in your cost basis, converting it from a theoretical number on paper to real gains. Once your assets' profits reach a substantial level, consider selling a portion to realize your investment cost. This way, regardless of market fluctuations, the impact on you will be limited to the extent of your profits, never resulting in actual losses. Remember that investing in the stock market is about using money to make money. If you lose your capital, you're essentially out of a job. No matter how promising tomorrow's opportunities seem, without available capital, you're left helpless. Almost all experts advise safeguarding your initial investment. Achieving this involves two methods: quick stop-loss and avoiding overcommitment. Novice investors often experience this. It's easy to cut losses with small amounts, but when significant losses occur, it becomes extremely challenging. This is a natural human response. When you've lost too much on an investment, it significantly impacts your confidence. If you've had experience in the stock market, you've likely encountered both gains and losses. When you're making profits, what do you feel? Often, you'll internally criticize yourself for not buying more initially, thinking that the next big opportunity will yield substantial gains. This behavior is extremely dangerous. In the stock market, nothing is guaranteed. If you initially buy too much, and the stock subsequently drops, you're trapped. Each day of decline, you hope it's the last. Sometimes a minor rebound seems like the precursor to a major rally. But soon, the stock may plummet further, and your spirits sink. You lose your ability to make rational judgments. This experience is universal and deeply felt. So, how can we avoid losses? The practical approach is layered betting. If you plan to buy 1,000 shares of a stock, don't buy all 1,000 shares initially. Start with 200 shares to test whether the stock's movement aligns with your expectations. Then decide the next steps. If it's unfavorable, cut losses quickly. If everything looks good, proceed with another 400 shares. Only after favorable results should you buy the remaining 1,000 shares. Due to the unpredictable nature of stock movements, it's impossible to make money without entering the market. However, entering the market also carries the risk of potential losses. Therefore, determining how much risk to take becomes a headache for every investor. In his autobiography, George Soros mentioned that managing risk was his biggest challenge. Unfortunately, there are no shortcuts to solving this problem. You must discover your own risk tolerance through practical experience and avoid exceeding your limits. But what exactly is risk tolerance? The simplest method is to ask yourself, do I sleep well? If worrying about a particular stock keeps you up at night, it indicates that you're taking on too much risk. Consider selling some of your stocks until you feel comfortable enough to sleep soundly. Remember the concept of capital preservation. Every mistake you make while investing in the stock market deepens your understanding. Over time, you'll learn how to handle situations. Successful investors are those who never incur losses. Now, let's delve into the supreme secret for never losing money, the margin of safety. The margin of safety principle remains highly effective and is the cornerstone of successful investing. Although the term might sound complex, it's actually quite straightforward. Think of it as seeking high-quality stocks at significantly lower prices than their intrinsic value. We all use this approach in our daily lives. When bargaining at a market stall, why do we negotiate for better prices? Why do we haggle when buying groceries? It's because we want to save money. At the same time, we know that sellers often overestimate the value of their goods. If we're unsure, we negotiate to ensure we don't overpay. The stock market operates similarly. When Warren Buffett buys stocks, he follows the same principles we use while shopping. The margin of safety means purchasing good stocks at prices significantly below their actual value. In Buffett's words, it's like buying $1 worth of stock for 40 cents. Essentially, it's acquiring stocks at around 60% of their intrinsic value, similar to buying a discounted item. Remember that the listed price of a product doesn't necessarily reflect its true value. We estimate it ourselves. Similarly, historical stock prices don't always represent their intrinsic value. To estimate a stock's value, start by assessing the intrinsic value of the company. Buffett typically estimates a company's overall value, divides it by the total shares outstanding, and compares the result to the market price. If the stock price is significantly lower than its intrinsic value, he buys. Otherwise, he seeks other investment opportunities. Interestingly, while we apply these basic principles when shopping, they often elude us in the stock market. Savvy shoppers rejoice when prices drop and feel dismayed when they rise. However, in the stock market, people celebrate rising stock prices and worry when they fall. Why this discrepancy? Buffett's famous saying, "Price is what you pay, value is what you get," encapsulates the essence of value investing. Investors seek the difference between value and price, the source of profitable investments. Benjamin Graham, Buffett's mentor, taught him the ultimate secret to never losing money: buy stocks that are significantly undervalued, far from the edge of the price cliff. Graham referred to the degree of stock price being below its value as the margin of safety. Imagine your stock as a car approaching the edge of a value cliff. The greater the distance from the cliff, the better. Graham succinctly put it, "I have refined my secret of success down to 4 words, margin of safety." Buffett learned about the margin of safety principle from Graham's book when he was just 19. Now, at almost 80 years old, after a lifetime of investing, he still marvels at its enduring correctness and effectiveness, the bedrock of investment success. In 1984, during a speech at Columbia University commemorating the 50th anniversary of Graham's classic work, Security Analysis, Buffett emphasized that most consistently successful investors in the U.S. market applied Graham's margin of safety principle. Having sufficient margin of safety allows you to participate confidently in the stock market game, whether it's a casino or a marketplace. Applying the margin of safety requires patience to wait for opportunities. These opportunities often arise when a company faces temporary problems or when the market is excessively pessimistic, leading to undervaluation of excellent stocks. If such opportunities haven't presented themselves, consider temporarily investing your funds in other safe financial products, such as bonds. The margin of safety acts as insurance against the limitations of your abilities as an investor, the market's significant volatility, and the uncertainty of a company's future development. Interestingly, investments based on the margin of safety principle don't follow the conventional pattern where higher risk leads to higher returns. Instead, lower risk often results in higher returns. For individual investors, enhancing the concept of margin of safety involves several steps. First, it's essential to diligently learn how to analyze companies, read financial reports, and avoid falling for deceptive financial statements. Additionally, investors should seek out companies with strong future profit prospects, even if their current business conditions appear unfavorable. As a second step, gradually learn to assess the authenticity and reliability of a company's assets and earnings, as well as predict future growth. We often hear the saying, "Fortune favors the bold," but for individual investors, this adage is misleading. Instead, we should seek stability for prosperity. In investing, having a sufficient margin of safety ensures a steady path to wealth. Think of it as leaving room for error. When buying stocks, always leave some margin for error in the purchase price. Since our estimates of a stock's value are only approximate, not exact, having a significant margin of safety means that even if we overestimate, we still acquire the stock at a relatively cheap price, potentially yielding good returns. Remember, it's not about being overly cautious but rather allowing room for unforeseen circumstances. By doing so, you can avoid significant losses. For instance, if you estimate a stock's intrinsic value at $100, consider buying it only when the price drops to $70, leaving a 30% margin of safety. While you might miss out on some opportunities, this approach significantly reduces risk and preserves potential profits. Remember, it's not about being overly cautious but rather allowing room for unforeseen circumstances. By doing so, you can avoid significant losses. For instance, if you estimate a stock's intrinsic value at $100, consider buying it only when the price drops to $70, leaving a 30% margin of safety. While you might miss out on some opportunities, this approach significantly reduces risk and preserves potential profits. Warren Buffett once explained the concept using a bridge analogy. When you build a bridge, it can actually withstand 30,000 pounds of weight, but you only allow 10,000 pounds to pass. If a company is worth $83 million, don't pay $80 million for it. Leave some room for error. How do we calculate the margin of safety? It's the difference between a stock's intrinsic value and its market price. Margin of safety = intrinsic value market price. Buffett believes that a margin of safety doesn't need to reach 100%. 80% is sufficient. Some more conservative investors might aim for 60% to 70%. For example, if a stock's intrinsic value is $100 and the market price is $70, buying it provides a 30% margin of safety. Remember that safety margins vary based on individual assessments. While larger margins seem appealing, they can limit investment opportunities. Striking the right balance is crucial. Finally, always consider why a stock becomes cheaper. Whether due to market panic or company-specific issues, understanding the context helps you make informed decisions. In summary, the margin of safety is a fundamental principle for successful investing. It's not foolproof, but it significantly reduces risk and allows for more stable wealth accumulation. Keep learning, stay patient, and apply this concept wisely in your investment journey. For individual investors, enhancing the concept of margin of safety involves several steps. First, it's essential to diligently learn how to analyze companies, read financial reports, and avoid falling for deceptive financial statements. Additionally, investors should seek out companies with strong future profit prospects, even if their current business conditions appear unfavorable. As a second step, gradually learn to assess the authenticity and reliability of a company's assets and earnings, as well as predict future growth. We often hear the saying, "Fortune favors the bold," but for individual investors, this adage is misleading. Instead, we should seek stability for prosperity. In investing, having a sufficient margin of safety ensures a steady path to wealth. Think of it as leaving room for error. When buying stocks, always leave some margin for error in the purchase price. Since our estimates of a stock's value are only approximate, not exact, having a significant margin of safety means that even if we overestimate, we still acquire the stock at a relatively cheap price, potentially yielding good returns. Learning to exploit market folly. We welcome market downturns because they allow us to pick up stocks at panic-inducing bargain prices. For aggressive investors, the key is to focus on large companies experiencing less attention-grabbing periods. Buffett likes to invest when a good company's stock price temporarily falters due to doubt, fear, or misunderstanding. Great investment opportunities arise when excellent companies are temporarily troubled by unusual circumstances, leading to their stocks being mistakenly undervalued. In everyday life, we often encounter significant discounts on goods in stores. But can stocks also be discounted in the market? Absolutely. This happens when the market commits foolish errors. Just as in sports, victory depends on two critical factors: playing without mistakes and capitalizing on the opponent's blunders. Similarly, in the stock market, we strive to avoid errors ourselves and wait for the market, our opponent, to make serious mistakes, allowing us to buy stocks at severely undervalued prices. Buffett once said, "Your investment performance over your lifetime will depend on your efforts and intelligence, but also on the degree of foolishness exhibited by the stock market. The more foolish the market behaves, the greater the profit potential for astute investors. Therefore, market downturns can be major opportunities. Just as Siberian snowstorms are commonplace in January, the stock market experiences its own storms. If you're prepared, these storms won't harm you. Instead, they provide opportunities to pick up cheap assets discarded by panicked investors. When nobody is interested in stocks, that's precisely when you should be. During market exuberance, only a few stocks are priced below their intrinsic value. But during market pessimism, there are so many undervalued opportunities that limited capital prevents us from fully exploiting them. Buffett appreciates market declines because they signal the best time to make significant moves. However, seizing the advantage requires swift action. It's not always about superior insight or knowledge. Sometimes, merely acting promptly can prevent you from becoming a market casualty. The allure of the stock market lies in its accessibility to investors of varying intelligence levels. Even if your knowledge isn't extensive, you can still profit from stock market investments. Next, recognize the rarity of opportunities and bet heavily on high-probability events. This is another Buffett principle. Opportunities don't always knock twice. When you encounter an almost unattainable chance, the correct approach is to invest significantly. For instance, Berkshire Hathaway's portfolio includes companies with a combined market value of $40 billion. The market value derived from just 5 investments: American Express, Coca-Cola, Gillette, Moody's, and Wells Fargo accounts for 76% of that total. Clearly, Buffett emphasizes specific opportunities and doesn't let them slip away. Consider a real-life example from 1975. Mexico faced an epidemic. The owner of the U.S. meat processing company, Armour Co., realized that if Mexico suffered an epidemic, it would likely spread to the United States from California and Texas, the primary meat supply bases. With the impending scarcity of meat due to the epidemic, Armour Co. purchased large quantities of pork and beef from Texas and California, shipping them promptly to the eastern United States. As the epidemic spread from Mexico to the western United States, causing a meat shortage, Armour Co. made a net profit of $9 million within months. Opportunities are fleeting, and timing matters. Those who hesitate miss out. To succeed, recognize risk within opportunity and seize it. Buffett's investments often occur during a company's crisis, buying at low prices. When Geico faced bankruptcy, Buffett invested at a discount, reaping a 50-fold profit over 20 years. Theodore Roosevelt once said, "In decision-making, the best outcome is making the right choice. The next best is making a wrong choice. The worst is making no choice at all." Bold words are meaningless without action. Swift decisions lead to achievement. Many people feel dissatisfied with their lives or jobs, contemplating change but never acting. Years pass, yet their lives remain unchanged. Don't merely complain about life's unfairness or your untapped potential. Reflect on the fairness inherent in many situations. Others take action, leading to success. Following the ants or leading the way. The key lies in using the market rather than being used by it. Ants are classic conformists. Worker ants simply follow the path set by their predecessors. If they stray from the ant trail, they become disoriented and unable to return to the nest. And if the worker ants accidentally form a circular path, they keep marching in circles until exhaustion claims them. This ant behavior illustrates an important lesson. Blindly following the market rarely leads to substantial gains but often results in significant losses. As social creatures, humans tend to seek consensus in both life and work. Older generations often advise the young to align with the majority, believing that safety lies in numbers. However, in the stock market, following the crowd isn't always the right approach. It can even be entirely wrong. Consider this humorous tale. After an oil magnate passed away and prepared to enter heaven, God stopped him with unfortunate news. While you're indeed eligible for heaven, too many oil magnates have arrived, and all the rooms are full. I have no place to accommodate you. The magnate hesitated but made a request. Can I say something to my fellow oil magnates in heaven? God agreed, and the magnate leaned over and whispered, they've discovered oil in hell. Suddenly, the gate swung open, and all the oil magnates rushed toward hell. Surprised, God invited the magnate into heaven, but he hesitated. Actually, I think I'll join my colleagues in hell. The rumors might be true. Although this story seems exaggerated, the phenomenon of following the market is quite common. For individual investors, this herd mentality is particularly pronounced. Whether we call it conformity or blind obedience, the result is often the same. Investors get caught up in market fluctuations, their emotions lead them astray, and they end up working hard for little gain. In the stock market, retail investors often follow institutional investors, who, in turn, follow larger institutions. Everyone reads the same reports, listens to the same indicators, and follows the same trends. During market exuberance, the prevailing thought is, I'll just follow the big players, they can't be wrong. But when seeking absolute safety in investments, remember Buffett's advice, be greedy when others are fearful, and fearful when others are greedy. Reflect on your own behavior. Have you blindly followed the market? Perhaps you've purchased overpriced stocks without adequate margin of safety. Finding severely undervalued stocks with sufficient safety margins requires clear thinking and courage. Buffett once said, the key is to calculate what something is worth and then buy it at a lower price. So, what exactly is this margin of safety? Let's use a practical example. Imagine your work starts at 9 a.m., and it takes 30 minutes to commute. Would you leave exactly 30 minutes before work? Most likely not. You consider traffic, road work, bus delays, or unexpected car issues. Instead, you leave 40 minutes, 50 minutes, or even an hour early to account for unforeseen risks. This extra time is your margin of safety. Why is the margin of safety crucial for investors? Stock value and price are distinct. Stock price fluctuates constantly, while value remains relatively stable. Estimating a company's value is challenging, and even conservative methods like book value per share don't provide the true intrinsic value. Therefore, after calculating a company's value, e.g., using asset value, we often buy at a discount 20% below the estimated value. This 20% gap serves as our margin of safety, protecting us from valuation errors and reducing investment risk. However, the margin of safety doesn't guarantee profits. It merely minimizes uncertainty and potential losses. Just as leaving early for work doesn't guarantee you won't be late due to unforeseen events, having a margin of safety doesn't guarantee a successful investment. But it helps. To achieve this, we must think independently. Graham advised Buffett that successful Wall Street investing requires two things, correct thinking and independent thinking. Russell, the philosopher, observed that most people avoid thinking. In the stock market, this tendency is similar. Many investors prefer not to think deeply. But independent thinking allows us to identify market errors, avoid blind conformity, and capitalize on opportunities. When panic selling occurs, a significant margin of safety can help us find excellent investments. Remember Buffett's words, the key lies in using the market rather than being used by it. So, let's avoid blindly following the crowd. Instead, let's think independently, recognize market mistakes, and utilize them to our advantage. After all, it's better to be a leader than an ant in the stock market.